Welcome to the Field of 68, live from the Final Four in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. This is my first time in Texas. Not Texas, San Antonio.
It's your first time in Texas?
I've been to Texas before. I connect in Dallas all the time. It's my first time in San Antonio. We are live from the Smoke Sky Bar all week here in San Antonio. We're just, I don't know how far that is. It feels like we're not far at all from the Alamo Dome, which is, of course, where we will decide a champ here in a couple of days. All one seeds. And today, Wednesday, before the Final Four, we have the 16-seed team. We got all the 16s. All the 16 seeds have showed up. John Martin, Mike LaTulip, Jeff Goodman, Rob Dostrom. We are all here. We're going to have tons of guests come through this week. We're going to talk to Seth Davis. We're going to talk to Stu Jackson. That's just a little bit later today. John Fanta is here. So we're looking forward to an awesome week here in San Antonio. We're going to break down the games. We're going to do all of it. But before we get to the games, let's talk about the comings and goings in college basketball. News today, and I'll start with you, Jeff, because you had the news. You're the newsman. Chris Beard is staying at Ole Miss. Texas A&M obviously lost Buzz Williams to Maryland, and so he was a very proper.
I take the sunglasses off for this.
You didn't like the sunglasses?
No, I got to take them off.
Well, that's what happens.
I need more clarity.
Some people just aren't meant to have any swag in their lives.
That might be me.
But Chris Beard is staying at Ole Miss. What kind of commitment is he getting? Let's just start there. This is a program that's coming off a Sweet 16 that seems like they're having a renewed commitment to basketball.
Well, let's start with why he chose to stay at Ole Miss, right? Because Texas A&M people think, obviously, the money that Texas A&M has. You know, they're paying out, what's his name, the football coach, like $100 million, right? What's his name?
Kiffin.
Jimbo Fisher. Thank you.
That was like 5
Jimbo
years
Fisher
ago.
from the crowd over there. $100 million. So they've got plenty of resources and money. But here's the thing for Chris Beard is Keith Carter, their AD, gave him a second chance when nobody else would, right? He gave him a second chance at a high level in the SEC. So I think part of it for Chris Beard was Keith Carter giving him a second chance. Keith Carter, the AD, a basketball guy, as opposed to you go to Texas A&M, you've got Trev Alberts, the AD, a football guy.
Right.
So
most ADs in the SEC are going to be football guys.
Keith Carter's not.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, again, he's put the resources. They gave him a new 6-year deal. They're going to give him here that he's going to sign soon. But, and Chris Beard can win anywhere.
Big raise or like what? I mean, I'm just trying to.
What's that?
Big raise?
Yeah, big money. Sure.
Because he was making 4.5.
He's going to end up in the fives for sure now.
The Ole Miss coach making $5 million is blasphemous to anybody that is like waking up out of a coma from 2008.
Right.
I mean,
no, what he's done. The thing is, to me, the A&M and the Ole Miss jobs aren't that different for Chris Beard. What's different is his mother lives in the Houston area. He's got a daughter who lives in that area. So, could he have tried to go there to be closer to family? Sure. But he's already got this thing going at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. Why leave now? You just went to a Sweet 16. You've got a bunch of kids on campus. You're close to getting a commitment from Pop Isaacs, who was on campus yesterday, who fits Chris Beard in a lot of ways very, very well. I don't know. I think it's the right move. I think it's. Why do you have
a? Rob has a shit-eating grin.
No,
well,
I just thought it was.
He knows Rick Isaacs is watching.
I just thought it was pretty. Yeah, Rick Isaacs watches everything. I just thought it was funny. It's like they're close to getting a commitment from Pop Isaacs. Like, just break the news if you're going to break the news.
No,
they're close. They're close to getting a commitment. We're close to getting a commitment.
To respect the process.
Well, who's going to commit knowing that Chris Beard is weighing whether to go to A&M or Ole Miss?
It's a soft verbal.
It's a soft verbal.
Crystal ball. Sure.
Yeah, you crystal ball Pop Isaacs to Ole Miss.
Yeah, I could do that.
I'm saying.
I might have crystal balled them to A&M last night. I mean,
was it? Oh, it was like touch and go.
No,
like
I don't think it was touch and go. I think it was Ole Miss for the most part all along.
Yeah.
I just think again you got to look at it when A&M comes with whatever they're going to come with money wise. You got to make sure the NIL at Ole Miss is going to be what you need it to be,
Rob,
which it was a year ago for Ole Miss.
Rob, I think that to me is just the biggest sort of feeling I have out of this is that in this new atmosphere, this new environment in NIL, Ole Miss can be a destination job for somebody.
Anywhere is a destination job if it has the money at this point.
That's what I mean.
Like that's the
Ole Miss
bottom line.
Anywhere can be.
And the thing about Ole Miss, and I guess it's probably true for Texas A&M too, is that you can build something similar to an Auburn at Ole Miss right now because I mean, John, you know this, man. You live in Memphis. You live in the South. All of these little college towns, what they love.
I'm the king of the South.
Do you think he knows how far Memphis is from Oxford?
It's like an hour. It's really an hour up the road.
I know exactly how far away.
Yeah,
it is.
You had no idea.
What's the furthest south,
Rob? It was like 7 hours.
If you take out Florida, what's the furthest south Rob's ever been?
I was literally in Auburn.
Okay,
a month and a
so
half ago.
He's certified. Get off his nuts.
Whoa,
Get off his nuts.
He's good. He gets down there.
Hey, John, apologize to me.
I'm not apologizing. I mean, good
no,
but
look.
do it.
So these college towns, man, like they love the university, and if you can build any kind of sport that is good and nationally relevant and competitive and worth going to and exciting, they're going to buy into it. We've seen it at Auburn. We see it at Alabama with what Nate Oates is doing there, right? We see it at a lot of these different programs, and you could do that at Ole Miss, and I think that Chris is on his way to doing that at Ole Miss. And if you go to Texas A&M, like this is to your point, Jeff, you're going to have to do the same thing, but you're going to be 2 years behind, right?
I don't know if I agree with that because of the portal. Because of the
no,
way
I'm saying in terms of building the home court and building the environment. Like it's one thing to be able to get the talent. Like Chris Beard's going to be able to get
the infrastructure. You're saying the culture.
Yeah, the culture. Yeah. The culture. Like you're on the way there, and it's not just the culture of the team. It is the environment that you could build in the facility and get everybody bought in. You can if you build Ole Miss that home court into a fortress, so you can't just go in there and win games on the road. If you're an Auburn or if you're in Alabama or you're in Arkansas, that's how you're competitive in the SEC beyond. Like we're going to get a bid and maybe make a run for the second weekend.
Think of what he's done. Think of what this dude has done at Texas Tech. At Texas, we were there at the start of year 2. That place was jumping, right? Texas Tech was insane. I'd still say the Texas Tech environments I was at were as good as any in the country over the last 5 years.
I mean, look, when it comes,
he's going to do it anywhere.
When it comes to Chris Beard, like there are going to be people that don't like him because of what happened. Sure. Yeah, because of what happened and the way they ended at Texas. And I don't believe it. They don't whatever. And right? I have no fault in the people that have a problem with Chris Beard because of what happened there. But when it comes to the ability to coach basketball and to find a way to get a fan base invigorated and fired up and bought into the actual stuff that is happening on the court, I don't know how many guys are better than him at it.
Let's get Mike in here. Obviously,
Mike looks very bold over there.
Yeah, Mike.
Hey guys,
we have a listener here who decided to join us on the panel.
I'm great at it.
But obviously, Ole Miss has just never been perceived as, frankly, a job that could even be relevant. In college basketball in the SEC. I think one Sweet 16.
Rod Barnes.
The GOAT. Where's he at now? Go.
Cal State Bakers.
You can't get anything by Goodman, man. You can't get anything by Goodman in 2025. You can, but not Rod Barnes.
Did anyone else notice that Mike just had to turn off his ringer live on the show?
It's just an Apple Watch, man. We'll give him a little.
I remember my first
here.
Live show, Mike.
But just your perspective
Easy.
as somebody that is not from the South, but to have Ole Miss in a situation where they can pay Chris Beard, they have made the decision we are going to compete in basketball.
Well, it depends where you're allocating those resources. I think we've seen that time and time again. Whether it's if you're a football school or if you're a basketball school, I think we play in that arena too much because I think there's so much money involved. Like you can do both. Can you do both at the highest level? Maybe not. But
Florida State, for example, has said we're not going to do the basketball thing much anymore, right?
And we're going to get Luke Lux hopefully over here this week, new Florida State head coach. But
you can ask him about that, John.
Yeah.
Hey man, how do you feel? You're not getting anybody.
Maybe you can give him a little money.
I mean, but that's but Ole Miss is saying we're not going that route.
Yeah.
We're paying our basketball coach $5+ million, $5.5.
Well, I think you'll pay him if you feel like you can grow with him and if you feel like the investment is worth it. And I think they believe that because I think he's proven wherever he's gone, whether it's to Texas Tech or he had success at Texas before moving on from there. So I think that's part of the equation is what is the investment comparatively, right? And I think they see it. You go to a Sweet 16 and you got to feel like even though you have a few guys leaving, a few guys graduating, Pop Isaac's in the fold. Like you've got momentum
start
at this point too. And for Texas A&M as well.
And that team was not star-studded this past year by any means.
No, it wasn't. But
Sean
they had an
Padula
identity.
was
They had an
Isaacs
identity.
can go right in for Padula. Like
it's an upgrade.
They're similar.
It's an upgrade.
And they're similar though in terms of like
but I
the
mean,
shit they have.
but when you watched Ole Miss,
Yes.
you weren't like, oh man, they just really killed it in the portal. Like, and they spent so much money. Like, you didn't think that at all. They were well coached.
There are a lot of guys that were underrated on that
100%.
team. I mean, Padula wasn't talked about as one of the top.
No,
point
he did.
guards
He had a hell of
They
a
had
season.
to
He had a
overpay to get some of those
Sure,
guys.
And that's
Sure.
and
They
that's
had
yes.
money.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
No, but that's maybe you overpay for guys like to come there for you to have that success
Gotta get it
to
going.
where you get it going and then you can really.
Yep.
Everybody's overpaying these days.
I mean,
We
good
will
Lord.
talk about that this week. We'll talk about some of
man.
the number figures
To
this
say the
week.
You got numbers?
It is insane.
You got
Say the
numbers?
least.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
we're talking for starters right now, anywhere between $1.5 million to up to $3 million
And
right now.
and
for
how
starters.
did that sort of square with last year?
The highest
up.
was
$2 million.
It's up.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
gonna
all
go.
played for non-tournament teams.
I made the comment to Rob. Rob and I were at the gate in Dallas
We were.
today.
The gate.
And I made the point that there are players that and go get your money. Like if you can get the money, go get the money. But there are players that this upcoming season or next season will make maybe 1/10 or they'll make 10 times or even maybe 12 times what they would for their first pro contract.
100%
Depending on
overseas.
where they
Yeah.
go overseas.
That's
So
why
it's just-
our girl from Notre Dame is going back to she's staying.
Smart move.
She's saying, I'm going to get more than I am than I would at the next
$75,000,
level.
whatever it is, $100,000 on a WNBA contract where she can make $1 million maybe.
I mean, and you go overseas, you go play in first league Germany. Maybe you're making 150, 175. I mean, there's guys that are going to be making 1.5 and 1.75.
Amazing.
As
Going
like
just in the
role
portal.
guys,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
guys
as-
that are filling a role. Like
Yeah.
the craziest part about it is, I just the money that you're going to be making here. It's why a lot of these guys decided to not finish out a season. It's why you saw season-ending injuries that should have been 4-week injuries because a lot of these players knew.
Are you talking about Tucker?
No, I'm not talking about him. There's a couple other
No,
specific.
but he
that
is
was
one.
referenced.
He was
He's
one.
Yeah.
Bryce Hopkins is one.
Bryce Hopkins.
Pop Isaac's one.
Kirk
I
Crease
thought
is
Nigel-
one.
Pop Isaacs.
Nigel Pack
Didn't
at
Pop
9
Isaacs tear his
games.
ACL?
Huh?
Didn't he tear his ACL, Pop Isaacs?
No, he had hip surgery.
Oh, hip surgery.
He had hip surgery.
But there's a lot of guys that
that
either
ninth game comes around and they're like, I'm not playing 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Why am I going to – I can
So,
make $1 million.
a medical redshirt to try to get another year of eligibility. And that is something where a lot of these guys just realized they saw the writing on the wall and they knew what they were going to be able to make because they knew what they just made and they knew what their future was.
Yeah. Well, the other caveat to that is the House settlement is likely going to go into effect here April 7th.
Yeah,
so
let's get into that if we can, because I'm even as somebody that covers college basketball, I'm confused about the ramifications of that. So it goes into effect when?
well, it's going to be voted on it
Voted
April
on.
7th, which is Monday, the championship game.
But the expectation is with
And then-
the administration as it is, it will be passed. What is the expectation?
Maybe.
I mean, you
I mean,
tell me. I mean,
I don't know.
You take it from here, man.
Well, I
know
don't
shit
know.
about it.
No, I've heard most people think it's going to be passed. I don't know whether it will be, but the expectation is it will be, and then revenue sharing will kick in.
Which
and
will
then
mean what?
Which means each school, if they opt into it, they have $20.5 million.
Every school's going to opt into it.
Not every school, every high major school.
That's what I mean.
And a lot of mids.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But, you know,
if you're serious about athletics, you have to opt into it.
sure. So you don't, again, you don't have to use all of it, but what you have to do then is then you have to use a certain amount of scholarships for like you have to use 15 scholarships
Right.
for men's basketball.
Right.
So
That kills
basically
you. That kills you. That
what
kills
it comes
you if
down
you're,
to,
mid-major type.
yeah, and what it comes down to then is, okay, you have $20.5 million. Well, football at a lot of these places is going to take about 70%. So then men's basketball at most places is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 15%, which is around anywhere $3 million to $4 million. But beyond that, you can have these third-party deals. Okay, so these third-party deals.
Look at this guy.
You can walk on. We're live. You can sit right there. We'll bring you in on the break. All right, Seth Davis coming in a few minutes here. Just trying to finish this up. And basically you have these third-party deals that have to be okayed for anything over $600. Okay? But the deal this year.
Okayed by who?
This third party, Deloitte.
Okay, so Deloitte is going to be basically overseeing every single
All
NIL
these
deal.
deals.
That's the craziest part about that is think about how many deals are going to be made over $600 and how
different sports.
long
Every NIL deal ever.
and how long is it's going to take for all of this to play out.
I'd
Like,
seen an interview with Charlie Baker. He made somebody asked him that question, saying like,
How are you going to do this?
"How is this going to not take forever?"
Yeah.
And he
Didn't have an answer.
he pretty much said like, "We're going to try to make it as quick as we can." So it's-
when has the NCAA ever been
that's
quick?
what I'm saying.
I mean, under
Ever.
Charlie, it's going a little bit quicker, but so again, getting back to it, the big thing, the reason revenue sharing's coming in effective like July 1st, if this gets voted in on Monday, so everybody's trying to front load these payments right now and saying it's kind of the Wild West still. There's no rules. We're going to pay as much as we can right now to these players and pay them as much up front as we can.
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't count against your cap, basically, your revenue sharing.
You know what it's like?
That's what's going on
It's
right
like people trying to buy a car right now before the tariffs.
now. 100%. And the players are trying to get in the portal
So
now.
tariffs.
And the
tariffs.
agents.
Deloitte tariffs.
The agents are trying to get these kids to commit
For
now.
sure.
That's why you're going to see so
sure.
many over these next few days, so many of these transfers committing because they want to get the money
it's
as
felt
quickly
like
as
more.
possible.
It's felt like more in the
they're
first
going
few weeks
quick.
here than it.
Well,
than it has in
we're
previous
here.
months.
We're here for. We're here today. We're here tomorrow. We're Friday, and then we're going to be here on Sunday. So we have lots of time to talk about President Jeff Goodman's transfer tariff proposal.
I'm a tariff you.
We believe. There's no question. You already are. We need to negotiate our
here's
NIL
a perfect
before
example
Deloitte.
of it, John. Here's a perfect example of it. Nick Davidson from the time when we started the show until right now is committed to Memphis.
Wow.
That's how quick this stuff goes.
That's a good get.
Nick
I didn't know they were
Davidson
From
Knicks.
Nevada.
from Nevada,
Good get.
averaged 16
I like
and 16 and 8.
Yeah.
Was a Mountain West
Look, Nick is
podcast.
trying to. He doesn't want me to break that. He hates it when something good happens in Memphis. He wants me to get out already. Nick Davidson, legitimately the first time I've ever heard about this guy.
Yeah, but you said he did not commit to
good, man.
Memphis.
Good player.
You thought it said Memphis?
Who'd you say?
Clemson.
Oh, excuse me. I heard Memphis.
I thought you
No,
said
Clem-
you
yeah.
said Memphis.
I said Memphis.
You said
you did
he
say
committed to
back.
Clemson.
Right, run the tape.
My bad.
No, I looked over to John. I said, I didn't
Clemson.
even know they were involved. I
Clemson.
I didn't either.
Clemson.
I was like, I didn't think Memphis was involved.
What is, how many have you had?
11.
He looks at me
but-
and sees Memphis. That's what that's. He's got
That-
Memphis on the
yeah, no,
mind.
that's exactly what
I
happened.
get it.
So
I
Clemson.
understand.
Clemson.
Okay.
Nick
Clemson
Davidson.
Tigers.
And what did that have to do with the? You're saying he got front
Like,
loaded.
no, just in
It
the.
just happens quick.
It
No,
literally
yeah,
just
it's
happened.
Commit
Yeah.
quick so
Yeah.
they
It's
can
just
quick.
happened.
Right.
money.
Exactly. Which again, speaking of Memphis, it's interesting that PJ Haggerty has not entered the portal. I mean, he's a guy that would have maybe fetched a lot of money. We'll
FedEx
see.
money, baby.
We'll see. Delivers, baby. All right, Seth Davis is
Hey,
here.
funny that you mentioned that. You know what else just happened?
He's full of shit. You don't know where Dawson's going this week. Field of 68 live from San Antonio, the Final Four. We back with Seth Davis.
Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, I don't know, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB. The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level. We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs
cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dad water. That's right, I'm talking about dad water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dad Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dad Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
We welcome you back to the Field of 68 live from Final Four week. It is great to be at Smoke Sky Bar, 1100 East Houston Street. Come stop by, have a beverage, debate with these guys. I'm surrounded by some college basketball media legends. He is Seth Davis, the editor-in-chief of Hoops HQ. You know him from Selection Sunday, from the NCAA tournament coverage on CBS and Turner Sports. He is Jeff Goodman.
He is older than me, by the way. He is older than me.
How old are you?
That was my first question.
I'm not telling. Maybe I am older than you.
You might be.
52.
Jeff's here and Rob Doster's here.
I'm going to be 55
see?
on April 16th. Same birthday as Kareem.
Wow.
And that means I can officially move into a 55 and over community. So I'm very excited. It's very possible. I'll have something. What's up, guys?
It's great to see you, Seth.
I watched you guys all season, like, seriously, like what you guys are. You're informed, opinionated. It's great. I'm really, I don't want to say it. I am the oldest guy at the table. I'm really proud of you guys because I know how hard this is. Seriously, I know how hard you work. And
we're happy for you, too, with
so,
Hoops
yeah,
HQ.
this is fun. I'm sorry we didn't do it
That's very
sooner,
cool.
I'm glad here. Yeah, man. We're all just hustling. We're all just trying to hustle as hard as we can so we don't have to get real jobs.
No doubt.
So far, so good. So far, so good.
All right, now I have to age you both before I get into the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
When did you two first meet?
Oh, I have a great story.
Oh, goodness.
He might not even remember
I might
this.
not, but go ahead.
I think I've told this to you before. So, not when we first met. The first time I heard Seth called me. I was a national writer for the Associated Press covering the TV beat, the sports TV beat. I hated it. It was awful.
Rob, he was a media critic.
I was. But you really weren't a critic then. It was like the lowest on the totem pole with a bunch of national sports writers. It was a disastrous office. If you talked to one guy, everybody else hated you. The woman who ran it, the late Terry Taylor, was as tough as it gets.
Wow.
Anyway, so all of a sudden I get a call. I'm at the desk, and I get a call. And he goes, yeah, this is Seth Davis. I just want you to know I got all 64 right. I picked all 64 right. Can you please include it in your column? Do you remember this? This is true.
It did.
100% true.
100%. First of all, all
true.
64 right is impossible.
You picked all 64.
How could I pick all 64? That's
did.
like
You got 'em
literally,
all.
that's like a Warren Buffett.
You picked them.
Is it
them.
possible
You
he's
said you-
misremembering?
No, I think well, it is possible that he could have bad memory, but on this one, I think he's
I'm
right.
telling you.
It sounds like he's. What's your earliest memory?
First of all, there's no way to pick all 64.
You said you did. Maybe
it definitely wasn't me.
And if there's no way to pick all 64,
I'm not the
there's
only
no way you
Seth.
can pick all 96.
That's right. That's right. 76.
Oh, okay.
76.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
76.
it. That's right.
My first memory of Jeff, were you working for Rivals?
No, Scout.
Scout. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So just on the recruiting beat, and that's one thing that I tell people about breaking into this business, that get into the recruiting because the ability to go to a gym and have hundreds of coaches I often tell the story. It's funny. I just saw him last week. This is when I was at Sports Illustrated. I had pitched a story. I covered high school sports with the New Haven Register.
Yep.
And I pitched a story to SI about a story called July Madness. It was the very beginning of the Sonny Vaccaro created AAU circuit and the rivalry between Nike, Adidas, and all of that. And because I covered, when I was younger, much younger, the idea of recruiting somebody to college, you went to their high schools and talked to their high school coach and watched their high school games and did it there. Right. And I saw from covering high schools at a newspaper that it all moved to the summer. So I pitched a story. And so we had the idea to come, go to a camp, find a player who's emerging, and use that player to tell the story of what's happening in July. The story was called July Madness. So I'm sitting there courtside, and I just start, chatting up a coach. He happens to be an assistant coach at Michigan State, was interested in me, what I was doing, exchanged business cards. Tom Crean. Right? And then, so I'm like, okay, I didn't know that many coaches, but I knew a few. And one I knew was Carl Hobbs, because I had been in New Haven and he was an assistant at UConn. I said, Carl, if you see a player here who is really good that you've never heard of, let me know. I remember like Quinn Snyder was there. I only didn't know that guys. And so at one point, Hobbs says to me, you see this kid from Arizona? Man, this kid's good. I go over there, I watch him play, talk to these other coaches. I'm like, what do you they're like, he's really good. I don't know who he is. And then I talked to the kid for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, holy cow, like this guy is smart. He's like, this is a business. Like, this is my story. Richard Jefferson.
There you go.
That's how effing old I am. Yes. So anyway.
Wow.
But I didn't. You're misremembering that call.
That was you.
So there it is.
Just misremembering that call.
Definitely you.
So now let's flash forward to this week with the Alamo Dome in the background.
Okay, I like
as
it.
we look
My
on.
first
It's great
glimpse.
to be back in
Yes,
San
sir.
Antonio.
Yes.
Last.
John Martin called that an Amazon warehouse.
Not big enough.
It definitely is unique. I mean, this is the biggest event that building holds still to this day. Really,
I guess. Is there anything else that's even in there?
They have a Alamo Bowl, but that's
UTSA
really about
football, right?
What used to be? Were the Spurs ever in there?
Yeah.
So the Spurs used to be in there.
Yep.
They're moving back downtown now.
It's a big arena for the Spurs.
They were put it in like one corner, right?
Yes.
Like they did with the Carrier Dome.
Let's talk about this Final Four, because everybody has a different opinion on this group of teams, and everybody's had a different opinion on this tournament, as you well know. Where do you stand on, one, the tournament, and then the fact that we have 4 number 1 seeds for only the second time ever?
Well, it's like they say, opinions are like noses. Everyone has one, although usually they use a different body part than noses, which I won't say because we're live.
It's fine. We've heard a lot worse.
I think that's right. I think whatever version of the NCAA tournament takes place is freaking awesome. Like this idea that it's only great if there are Cinderellas, or it's only great, it's like, it's just stupid. And all of these narratives and these trends. Now, look, we don't know what it's going to look like in 5 years. Maybe NIL is driving this. Or maybe next year we're going to have like we had way back when, 2 whole years ago, when we had FAU and San Diego State and Miami as the mid-major-ish coming out of the ACC, right? I remember San Diego State and FAU, and it was like, oh, it's because of the transfer portal. And now we have 4 number 1 seeds. Oh, it's
Remember how FAU won their first round game? They almost lost.
They almost lost to Memphis. A controversial timeout call.
This is what Dusty May told us 2 weeks ago. He's like, we almost lost to
San Diego. 100%. So it's like, look, these have been the 4 best teams all year. I was just thinking about this the other day, that like usually going into the selection show, 2 1 seeds are locked in. Probably a third. But usually there's genuine suspense about the 4th. There was none. Everybody knew who the number 1 seeds were. Everybody knew that Auburn was the overall number 1. These have been the best 4 teams. And there's no reason to be surprised if any of these teams win. Now, I picked Duke at the beginning, Duke over Florida. I'm sure a zillion other people did the same. Nobody should be surprised if Houston wins. Auburn is interesting because of the situation with Johni Broome, right? We were at the game last week. I talked
to Bruce the other day. It didn't
he doesn't
sound
feel
like
pain,
he's
man.
overly concerned.
He doesn't feel pain.
Let's see. Let's see. I would believe it. His elbow bent in a way that human elbows are not supposed to bend.
That's true.
It is his non-shooting elbow. He came back for a little bit, made a 3-pointer, but then they took him out. He didn't play the last 3 minutes. So let's see. I mean, if a non-shooting elbow injury where there's no structural damage, he should be okay. I'm just saying it's an X factor. It's something to watch. But all 4 of these teams clearly capable. Who's everybody picking, by the way?
And we all got Duke.
I
I think.
flipped
Everyone's got Duke.
No, I
You
flipped
flip?
it. I had
Florida?
Florida before the tournament. I'm going Auburn now.
I have Duke.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I have Duke, but I
Way
have
to
a
stick by your
Duke-Auburn
guns.
final, and I had a Duke-Florida final. Now I'm flipping to Auburn.
Okay. Well, you can flip. There's no we
Why
flip.
not?
You have Auburn beating Duke? Or
No,
just
I have
Au-
Duke beating Auburn.
Duke
Yeah,
beating Auburn.
that's what I have.
Well, what
Yeah.
were you going to say? You were about to jump in.
No, I just the point that Seth made about the 4 number 1 teams. Like, we have a complaint that the tournament doesn't play out the way that we wanted it to play out every year, right?
Yes.
When there's too many mid majors or too many sleepers in the second weekend, it's like we don't have enough big matchups. And then you have all the big teams making it's like we don't have enough Cinderellas. We don't have enough underdogs.
I
And
think
it's like
you wanted the Cinderellas a couple early.
Yeah, but
you
I-
wanted a couple.
Yeah. We
buzzer
haven't had
beaters
buzzer
early.
beaters.
But we
Derek
also
Quain
had-
is only
but
one.
See, I don't. Buzzer beaters. Buzzer beaters.
you
Yes,
want.
we wanted that excitement, and that was the only frustrating part about it. Was like there weren't any incredible games that you're going to remember forever until we got one with
Arkansas.
The
Texas
one
Tech and
buzzer
Arkansas.
beater that we
got
had
one
created
Texas
the
Tech and
most drama
Florida.
of the tournament.
Yes, because it kept.
If the shot doesn't go in, we don't have another 4 days of Willard.
That's true. That is true.
But we also had Colorado State came within one shot of making it to the Sweet 16.
Correct.
And Drake, the mid-major that everybody loves, made it to the second round. And McNeese State made it to the second round and played Purdue. Like, we had
And
those were the two
UCSD
you went
and
in.
within one
UCSD,
possession. Yeah.
they
There
gave.
there just wasn't as much drama.
Yeah,
as we normally
no
get.
question.
But
That's
there's
all.
some
No
people
question.
that you're never going to make fully happy.
Of course.
It's the best of end sports.
No
the way
question.
I phrase it, Cinderella's carriage is at a BP or a Shell, gassing up the tank. And when they come back out next year, everybody's going to appreciate it that much more. Every tournament's different. And you're right. You do top 25, you do top 25, you do a top 25. We all do. The one thing that was easiest about it was the top 4.
The top,
The
the
top
was
4
easy.
throughout the
100%.
whole year was pretty much there. That's what makes this historic. This Final Four should be celebrated. There's a reason why we've only ever seen this one other time. It could just as easily be Texas Tech here. Frankly, it should.
I think you can make the argument this is the best Final Four that we've ever seen. And Goodman's going to laugh at me when I say stuff like this.
08
but I
had
think this is
20
the-
NBA.
Well,
I think
these
this is the
these are the
best
four.
Final
I think
These are the 4 best teams
But you
that we've
remember-
ever seen in the.
you
I know
remember
you guys
the
are big
4 number
Ken Pom
ones
guys.
here with Kevin
Right.
Love and Derek Rose. You had star power
20
then.
NBA
but they were
players.
No- there's no
freshmen.
star
But they were
power?
No,
freshmen.
there is, but
I
it was
mean,
just
Cooper
different.
Flag.
But they were
you,
freshmen.
You have the 2 national players of the year.
It was more.
You have another really truly budding superstar in Walter Clayton. You have an iconic coach. And by the way, the most important thing, the reason why this is the greatest Final Four is there's 3 Jewish coaches. So, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this is
kind of amazing.
this is big time.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
I love Gottlieb's line was like, it's,
Give you the
what's
rock
that?
here. Give me a fist bump.
Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not, but I'm giving you a fist
Honorary,
bump.
okay.
No, Catholics and I'm.
We need to have a bar mitzvah for Kelvin Sampson. I mean, clearly. I love Gottlieb had the line that it's like, remember when the Big East had 3 teams in the Final Four in '85? That's what it's like for the MOTs.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm
All right,
talking
so
about.
you're a Duke guy. You've been
Yes, sir.
covering this forever. You're
Yes,
old.
I am.
Cooper Flag, where does he stand in the pantheon of great? People ask me this all the time.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I say, I've been saying this for months now. He's one of the top 10 players I've ever covered in college basketball. And as the season's gone on, I think he's moved up that list because of just what he does, how he does it in the era in which he's doing it, in the NIL era, in the social media era. None of that shit affects him at all.
Yeah, it's like I keep writing on Twitter, Cooper Flag is underrated. Well, if we're talking about Pantheon, it's got to win a championship, right? So that's kind of where you start. Now, there's like whole like statistical analysis to do, and if you're going to do that, I think Zion still might have an edge over him. Maybe he's the only one that comes to mind.
But
First of all, are we talking about Duke?
Zion-
Are we talking
going
about
Zion
Duke
over-
freshmen,
No,
or are we
I'm
talking about
everybody.
all-time
I'm
freshmen?
Talking about like all-time freshmen that you've seen.
Okay, so for
And even-
all-time
and
freshmen,
even
you
let's
start
just
with
say-
Carmelo.
Let's say all-time players. Let's just say like take the freshmen out of the equation
For
and
just one
this
season?
Year,
One
just
season.
this year of Cooper Flag, I don't feel like he's gotten enough pop for what he's done.
It's so funny because, I mean, first of all, it starts with, as we all know, he turned 18 on December 21st, which is ridiculous.
Crazy.
So he should be a high school senior.
Came from
To your
Maine.
point, came from Maine. To your point, all of the hype, it's kind of how I feel about LeBron. Like, whatever you want to say about LeBron, like the dude was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a junior in high school under the chosen one. That alone should have ruined his life. And he's arguably the best ever. And so I'm very attuned to what you're talking about because we understand and Cooper's been a guy who's had that on him from a very young age. Yeah. He didn't come out of nowhere. Nope. So you look at what he's done statistically. You look at the way his team has won. Best player. Gosh, I don't even know where to begin with, like, the best player. I've been doing this 30 years. He's definitely in that conversation. Yeah, I'm actually talking about both sides of my mouth because I'm not a big, well, he has to win a championship thing, because that's bunk.
You said Carmelo's one for you for freshman?
For Carmelo was not only won a title as a freshman, he was by far the best player on that team.
By the way, congrats to Melo, who's going into the
Hall of Fame. Easy choice. Anthony Davis obviously was a great freshman, but I think he was like the fourth leading scorer.
I think AD is the more apt comparison because of the impact that AD had beyond just like his numbers were really impressive.
Right.
But what made him great was the impact that he had on the team because of his simple presence on the floor.
But why did you kind of poo-poo the Zion comparison?
Oh, I just think Cooper Flagg's – I think the Zion had the sizzle, but I think Cooper Flagg had the better year. I think Cooper Flagg is a much better basketball player because of everything he does. I just think he's a better basketball player.
You could certainly make the case, but, I mean, if you want to line up the numbers – Zion probably averaged more points. He didn't lead the team. Look, he's leading the team with points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, maybe close with Malawach and blocks. Definitely a case to be made.
All right, now I'm going to challenge you guys.
Yes, please.
I'm going to start here.
Please.
And then we'll come. This
please.
time you're going to hit in the third slot.
Okay.
This is a hard question here, but I'm not going to throw a meatball at you here. If you were to look at the four coaches, and you're getting ready for Saturday's game, meaning the whole one-game argument, power rank the coaches.
For a one-game scenario? Oh, man, that's a tough one. I'm going to go – ooh, that's tough. I'm going to go Bruce, number 1. I think Shire, number 2, Kelvin, number 3, and Todd, number 4.
Why'd you pick Bruce 1?
Because he's been here to a Final Four, and he's experienced it, and he's been around forever. Right, and I think that he is able to get his guys fired up. It's tough. I was blown away sitting courtside to watch Shire at the ACC tournament, and then last weekend in Jersey, his ability to change what he does and how quickly he does it. Like the thing that immediately comes to mind to me, Malawach picks up his second foul against Alabama in the first half. He brings in Pat Ngangba, and the first thing that they do is they Alabama runs a set that ends up getting a switch, and they expose it, and Grant Nelson gets a wide open dunk, and boom. Timeout, and immediately brings in Malik. Doesn't even hesitate to make the change. It's one possession like that. He was able to switch the way that they were switching defensively, their defensive schemes. They attacked Mark Sears in the second half. Like I think that he has – this might be a hot take. I think John Shire has, like, the NBA mindset when he thinks about how to attack mismatches, how to build a roster, and kind of that kind of temperament. But I think I would go Bruce number 1. And I feel bad putting Todd 4th. Like, that just feels –
Yeah, but that's because he's Jewish, right?
No, but that's blatant. I mean, that's obvious right now. You have to start, and Todd has to be 4th.
Yep.
And then the hard one is, to me, 1, whether you're going Kelvin or Bruce. I think I go Kelvin. I mean, it's hard. He's got the same – look at what he's done in the last 6 years. Look at what this dude's done.
Yeah.
It's
insane. It might be Kelvin. It honestly might be Kelvin.
The consistency that he has had rebuilding a shitty program.
What I would say
Bruce
about
did
that –
the same thing. They're similar in that regard, but I just think 3 Sweet 16s, 2 Final Fours, an Elite 8 over 6 years, like, give me Kelvin.
4 Sweet 16s, 3 Elite 8s, and 2 Final Fours.
Ridiculous. And by the way, before Kelvin got to Houston, the last time they'd won a game in the NCAA tournament was 1984 with Olajuwon.
Unbelievable.
Clyde
so
Drexler, right?
it's really exactly.
Was that 5 Slamma Jamma?
That exactly was. Well, when John asked the question,
that was before I was born, Goodman.
Is that true?
Yes.
God damn it.
That hurts, huh?
That one hurts.
I keep saying.
I am 40 now, though.
When did I get to the this may have already be happening to you. I'm like, when did I get to the point where I'm always the oldest guy on the Zoom call? I'm the oldest guy on every
Your
Zoom
whole
call.
HQ staff calls.
Believe me.
At least you know how to use Zoom.
Wait, you got
At least you know how to use
You
it.
got Dortch on your
That's true. That's true.
Oh,
He
boy.
doesn't Zoom though. He doesn't know how to
boy.
Zoom. When John asked the question, immediately in my mind, number 1 is Kelvin, and they're all obviously great coaches. Fair to say, Kelvin has the least amount of talent of the 4 teams that are here.
Yeah, I would think so. I would say yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Right? Got to be.
Probably.
I feel like John was asking like in a one-game scenario, and I do think in a one-game scenario, being older helps. You've had more reps. You've made a ton more mistakes. And so
He's also been in the NBA.
yeah, that's
that's the
true.
other
That's
part.
true. So to win a game you're really not supposed to win, I would lean Kelvin and probably Bruce next. I want to say this about Shire. This is something that is not being said nearly enough. He is not getting nearly the credit he should get for doing what he's doing, taking over for Coach K.
Agreed.
And for those out there, and we all know who they are, I could coach Duke, and he's got all this talent. You keep thinking that.
Ask Kyle Neptune and Red Autry how it's going.
Yeah, or Kyle. Yeah, there you go, Kyle Neptune. Yep. I mean, the long list. I happen to know a little bit about John Wooden. So 4 coaches in 10 years after Wooden retired at UCLA. We always say it's the hardest thing to do.
You don't want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
No. And by the way,
just did that.
And by the way, he was 34 and had never been a head coach before.
When he was given the opportunity, did you in your gut say, "Yep, this is"?
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know.
Hey, I can already tell you.
I liked him. I thought he was a great guy.
No one. If anyone says they saw this coming this quickly, then they're
I thought
lying
he would
to
be a
you.
good hire at DePaul.
Yeah.
But
I
here's
did.
the
That's what I
wild
said.
part about
And
that.
DePaul apparently didn't.
That's going to be
Right?
one of
They
the
thought that
all-time.
Tony Stubblefield, who
I remember
no longer-
calling Dwayne Peavy after that one.
yeah.
That's going to be one of the all-time what-ifs.
Yeah.
In 20 years, we are going to sit here on a panel like this. Hopefully, all of us are still going to be here talking about college basketball, and we're going to say, imagine where
We'll zoom
DePaul would
Seth in
be.
from the
Yeah,
nursing
we'll
home.
zoom,
DePaul would be,
we'll zoom
yeah.
from his
Yeah.
over 75
Hey,
facility.
John Shire might be out of a job. John Shire might be out of a job if he had been hired at DePaul.
No
Yes.
question.
Right? I mean, most like that. That's if you're going to make a list of the likely things.
That's the most likely.
the
Because
all-time
by
what
virtue
if.
of what DePaul was.
John Shire, I believe, was the first coach not only to hire a general manager, but to conceive of the position of general.
Yeah,
he
I
just
don't think
knew.
he's the first. So you know who was first?
I'd love to know who.
Chris Beard hired Chris Ogden at Texas before him. It was called
Not as
chief of
general
staff.
manager.
It was the same thing.
Well, they've always had a special assistant to the head coach. I'm talking about a business person with NIL and collective and all this stuff, run this like a business. Yeah. So, and John Shire knew Rachel Baker, had no idea what, like, it's funny, you talk to Rachel about it. She's like, he took forever. We didn't know what we're going to call it, what my job was. He just knew, I want that person here. And that if he made that one decision that now everybody's doing, imagine all the decisions that he makes
Brought in
that
Jay
live in here.
Lucas.
Yeah, that was
Brought
the
in
other part
guys
about
from
it.
the outside.
Outside the
Which is
family.
like,
We've talked
man,
about that.
We all saw that and we were like, oh my God.
Right.
I can't believe he's doing this. What does
Right.
Coach K think
Emmanuel
of it?
Tilde, yeah.
He didn't
Balls to do
care.
that, man.
Yeah.
He didn't, like he said, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing, even
That's
though
right.
the guy before me was the GOAT.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to do my own thing.
There's a lot of leadership and life lessons for business people, for everybody. And like I say, people out there, it's because it's Duke and it's because he has this. You keep thinking that because that's what losers think, okay? Losers look at someone who's beating them and say, I'd be beating him if I had what he had. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Let's turn the page then to the other coach that's under 40 in this, just to make you feel a little bit younger, and that is Todd Golden. And, Rob, I felt like we spent a lot of time on our DTF pod talking about the job Shire's done. But for Todd to do this soon, when you get hired by from San Francisco to Gainesville, you are literally going to the opposite end of the country. And Scott Strickland brought it up this past week, and he's like, I know when I made this hire, there were a lot of people asking me questions. And he did say, I also know in December, people were asking me a lot of questions for a variety of other reasons as well. And so he did get emotional. When you think about Florida, the analytics, how they've gotten here, the recipe to this success, what comes to mind?
The biggest question that I had with Todd was, are you going to be able to build a program in the model of what San Francisco was, where you rely on trying to find undiscovered gems in the portal, where you use some of the metrics and the numbers and you get a little nerdy with it, and you do things like find times when you can foul up 3 or foul at the end of half. Like, they do all of this weird stuff where they try to get, gain a possession, or they try to get a couple extra points at the end of a half here. Is that going to work when you get to the SEC? Because in the SEC, like, you could do all of this stuff, but if you don't have the right dudes, you got no chance. They had 14 to 16 teams in the tournament, right? And the fact that he's been able to continue to identify those guys, develop them when they get on campus, and still find players under the – like, Walter Clayton was at Iona. We knew he was good. Did anyone know he had, like, first-team All-American ceiling in him? If you say you did, then
I
you're –
didn't know he'd be that good, but I knew he'd be damn good. I knew he'd be damn good. Maybe not this good.
Yeah, not this good. I guess there was a reason why Rick Pitino really wanted him at St. John's.
He did.
Right? Yeah.
He did.
But
I don't know.
it's still like you're finding guys like that, like Alex Condon, right, or Thomas
amazing.
Hawk,
Yeah.
or getting someone like Micah Hanlogden who averaged like 8 points a game at Marshall. And I remember hearing from the staff when they got him, like, this guy's he's a difference maker for us. And I'm like, okay, like, he played 18 minutes a game at Marshall, but if you guys believe so,
Combination of analytics and guys who use the eye test. And even Todd Golden is that, right? He is that combination where he'll use both.
yeah.
I thought the biggest thing for me was when they hired him, first of all, I was like, all right, he's just looking for the next Billy Donovan. You know, that's all you heard. Well, look at him, right? Young. He's looking for the next Billy Donovan, like
Kind of
Jeremy
looks like Billy
Foley
Donovan
did.
a little bit.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking to myself, how is this kid going to come in from San Francisco, and he's so far behind Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates and John Calipari? This league is built on dudes who have money. They got big names. They're going to get players. How the hell is he going to compete with him? He's too far behind. That was my biggest worry. Not that he couldn't be good in time, but I didn't think he'd be this good this quick.
So one of the benefits of being old is certain levels of institutional knowledge. So the guy who hired Billy Donovan was Jeremy Foley, who was one of the great athletic
Of all
directors
time.
of all time. And Billy Donovan had only been the head coach of Marshall for, maybe 2 seasons?
Two
he
years.
was not.
I think it was 2
He was
years.
not well known. And I remember having this conversation with Jeremy about this, and a big reason was he just liked the style that Billy played. He's like, place like this, you need to get up and down, you need to be entertaining. So he kind of had that savvy. Clearly, nobody could have predicted that Billy would turn out to be Billy. Scott Strickland, also one of the great ADs of Florida. I first met Scott. He was the sports information director at Baylor.
Was it Baylor before Kentucky?
He was at Baylor when they had the murder.
No.
I was down with Sports Illustrated covering that with a young up-and-coming reporter from the New York Times. I don't know whatever happened to him. His name was Pete Thamel. I don't know if he's still working or not. And we were both on that beat, and Pete was the best. So that's where I first met Scott. So he's gone from the SID at Baylor, who oversaw the Dave Bliss era and the worst scandal that I've ever seen. And then he went to Mississippi State, and now he's at Florida. So I can't say I had a strong opinion about Todd Golden either way. Clearly had to respect what he did. I know he gets a lot of attention for the analytics end of it, which was impressive. But to me, again, as somebody who's written about coaching and leadership and team building, that's what you don't know. What are his people skills? That's where John Shire is truly elite. All these guys are truly elite. To be able to communicate and have uncomfortable conversations and align all of those different agendas, because they all want to go to the NBA. And I want to win, and we all want individual goals. How do we merge that into the collective? That's what true coaching and leadership is about, and clearly he's elite at that.
Your take, then we'll go to break.
Well, all I was going to say is that you mentioned the point about John Shire and his leadership ability. It is shocking to me that we have a team at Duke, Cooper Flagg, Con Knippel, John Shire, and they're like not universally despised. Like, you don't see the hate that J.J. Redick got. You don't see the hate that Wojo got. You don't see the hate that any of these guys got.
As a Duke graduate, I've heard that a lot. Like, I actually like this team. I don't know what's wrong with
Because
me.
it's harder to hate Cooper. He doesn't have, like, the mannerisms that Leitner or Reddick had.
Right. And don't forget Coach K.
Right.
Coach K
Exactly.
loved that.
Yeah, but that's also part of it too. Like, you have Coach K's hand-picked successor, who's this dude that looks like he should be a hedge fund manager on Wall Street, right? Like, he should be one of these, like, it should be, what was the Wolf of Wall Street? Like, he looks like he should be the guy from Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, DiCaprio is a good comment.
Yeah. But he happens to be, like, one of the nicest, most genuine, like, you could just tell. He's a great dude. He returns texts. He doesn't try to big-time people. I don't think he realized it. Like, I'm the head coach at Duke. If Rob Doster texts me, I shouldn't answer him. Like, I should, like, I'm
he's
above,
humble.
I'm above that. Like,
Although
yeah.
you were nodding there for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Do you text him back?
Does he really return his text?
Well,
I mean,
normally, once in a while. Sometimes
I saw him on Field of 68.
Yeah, he comes on all the time.
It was the same. I was down there for a Fox thing, and I
I mean,
yeah,
I
hell
told
yeah,
this, I
hell
told
yeah.
the story to. I told the
I've
story.
known Shire since he was 14, 15.
Right.
I told
now
the
he's the
story-
coach at Duke.
It's crazy.
And he's not changing that.
Nope.
That's what we're talking about.
I told this story to Fanda the other day, and I don't know if you know this one, Seth. I think I've told you before, but a friend of my son's had cancer 2 years ago, right? And his dad's a big North Carolina fan. He's a Carolina fan, and I was at the Champions Classic, and the Shire had just beaten. I forget who they beat. That it might have been they beat Kansas or something. It was his first year at Duke, right? And I'm in the hallway underneath, and I'm kind of walking, and he's just right there. And I go up to him like, "Hey, John, listen, a friend of mine, you know, his son, he's 10 years old, he has cancer. Like, would you mind just recording something real quick for me after you do your press conference?" And he's like, "No, just give me the phone. I'll do it right now." And he took the phone, knocked it out in 30 seconds, ends it with, "Whenever you're ready to be a fan of a real team, we got space on the Duke bandwagon," right? Gets a little a shot in there. How many coaches would do that?
For Douster and Fanta, that's called being a mensch. He's a mensch. We'll teach you some Yiddish. We got to teach him some Yiddish while we're here.
That's right. We're going to take a break. Coming up, take a little spin around the coaching carousel with Seth, get his reviews on some of the hires, his thoughts on some of the hires. And we'll take a look at some of the Star Watch, and there's plenty of it here in San Antonio at this Final Four on night one of our coverage from Smoke Sky Bar. Come and see us, 1100 East Houston Street. Goodman's buying a first round for the next 2 or 3 people that show up and say hello to us. We'll be right back after this.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Oh, welcome back to Smoke Sky Bar, night one of our Final Four coverage. Seth Davis, Jeff Goodman. Mike LaTulip is joining us with his corner three-point shot. Hello, Michael. I'll tell you what.
Mike
guys,
has a story about me, too, by the way. You want to tell it real quick?
Go ahead.
As long as we're all shitting on me that I come here.
Let's take it back.
Shitting on prior versions of me. I'm a much better person now.
No. Let's take it back to 2013.
Okay.
Our Illinois basketball team is playing Valpo, and I'm on the court there in the first half. Bryce Drew gets teed up. At that point, I had not missed a free throw during the season, and I step up to the line to shoot the technical free throws, and I missed both. And I thought that was odd. Sure enough, I go back and watch the broadcast, and got a little announcer's jinx in there from our own Seth Davis.
Oh, my goodness.
When I do an announcer jinx, well, he's really good.
I think
probably.
you owned it.
I'm
you
like,
owned it, though.
I guarantee he's going to make it. There's no way he's going to miss it.
Yep.
My fault. My bad.
You owned it. You owned it. It was
I did.
great.
I did.
No.
I did.
So let's dive into the coaching carousel,
yes,
fellas.
let's.
Here we go. I'm going to actually throw the fastball to Jeff Goodman on this one to start. It's actually an easier one than the other direction that we're going to go to. You got a variety of searches here across the country.
Yeah.
Your favorite hire in college basketball in this coaching cycle? Who's your favorite hire?
I mean, I think the best hire was Will Wade to NC State. I think if you're talking about a program that is going to just instantaneously go from, I don't want to say mediocrity, but they weren't good last year, and we know they went in a crazy run 2 years ago, but just go from this to this. And how I kind of view it, too, right now is, are other coaches going to be scared of that coach? And they are terrified right now in the ACC of Will Wade coming in because they know he can get dudes. They know he can coach. They know he's relentless. Say what you want about Will Wade in the past. The dude is going to get it done at NC State. And that fan base in Will Wade, there's no better match made in heaven than Will Wade and those lunatics from NC State.
So you probably know better than I about the sort of NIL. And I don't think none of us knows how this is going to work out because it's a cap of $20 million, and you can still do NIL, but now that's going to be in for. Hey, there's finally rules that can be broken, and like cheating is back, everybody. Cheating is going to be back. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I completely agree with Jeff. If you just if I always think about when we were talking about all the Indiana candidates, okay, what about this guy? What about this guy? Okay, if you were an Indiana fan and they hired this guy, how would you feel? So if you're an NC State fan and they hired Will Wade, you got to figure, we got a chance to be relevant. The other one that popped into my head when John asked the question is Buzz Williams at Maryland.
See, I don't like it. I don't like it.
He's going to win. Now he brings a lot. He brings a lot. He's a lot to handle. But you just lost your coach in a way that you didn't like. I think you didn't like the fact that you lost your coach. If you want to have that conversation.
Yep.
But if you want to win basketball game, I mean, Buzz has won wherever he's been. He has won wherever he's been. Now he moves along.
But he's never really been in the Northeast where I think people can sift through his BS a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You know what I mean? It's
a fair point.
We're more skeptical.
I mean, I don't know of another job.
Did you see the post game after they lost? Did you see in the locker room? He was like Jerry Falwell.
Yeah, that's
to
Buzz.
All his players.
That's Buzz.
I mean, literally preaching. It was
a 10-minute video.
I think it was even longer. It was longer. It was one of those, and I actually watched all of it.
Well, but he's been very good about recruiting guys who can play for him.
Right.
So he's not maybe going to bring in the same guys. That's really, I think, the more interesting question is if you look at where he has coached, even back with Marquette, who the hell was Jimmy Butler? Right? I think Jimmy Butler was a JUCO kid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he sure was.
So, and now look at him. So he has won everywhere he's been.
Yep.
Who could do Virginia Tech better than Buzz Williams did Virginia Tech?
Not Seth Greenberg.
Never heard of him. I mean, again, I put myself in the position of a fan. Is Buzz Williams a better basketball coach than Kevin Willard? I think you'd make that case.
Yes. Yeah, you would say yes.
I think he's got a better track record.
I just don't like
been in the Elite
fit.
Eight.
I don't like the fit.
The culture is definitely true, but maybe he's not. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to necessarily be competing against Michigan State, Villanova, Rutgers.
Texas kids to Maryland?
I think he's going to find kids who can play for him.
DMV's different. There's a lot of talent in the DMV. Here's the other thing. The Big Ten's a league that now you're starting to see some of these programs go in a different direction with the coaches that they hire to try to be different stylistically.
Yep.
Which is why my winner is Iowa and Ben McCullum. I love the hire.
Great.
And the fact that he can bring Bennett Sturts with him, you know that you're going to have one of the best players in America. You know that you're going to play efficiently. You know you're not going to turn it over. Iowa will hear their name call on Selection Sunday next year. You heard it from me right now.
All right, write it down.
I think they will be in the mix because he is an incredible basketball mind. He was born for this job. He's from Iowa. He's that type of a guy. He really is. And I'm actually going to go along those lines and go a little bit of a smaller school and a different school, and then I'm going to kick it to you because I know you're ready. And I actually love the fact that Fran McCaffrey's not sitting on the sidelines, and I think it's fun for the Ivy League that he's going to be the head coach at Penn.
Oh, that's a great hire.
I love that hire.
That is I love it for Fran,
and I love it for Penn. I love it for both sides. What do you got?
No, I was going to say with Ben McCullum, it is a great hire, and he is a great basketball mind. I think there is going to have to be a slight adjustment of style going from Drake to Iowa. And the reason for that, it's very similar to Grant McCaslin. When Grant McCaslin was at North Texas, slow it down, pull you into the mud, play the pace game. And now you go to Iowa and you're playing in the Big Ten. You can still be the lower possession team, but I don't think it can be to the degree that it was at Drake. So that's where I'm curious to see. I think he's going to have a ton of success there. I agree with you. I think Iowa's going to be in the NCAA tournament next year. But how does he adjust even if a little bit? Because McCaslin was willing to do it.
Now let's turn the page here and talk about the one brand that we haven't talked about yet. What is your honest expectation for Darren DeVries in Indiana? And what's going to be the key for him to achieve success?
Well, we know what the standards are at Indiana. We know what the fan expectations are at Indiana. I actually think even though all fan expectations are unreasonable, theirs are really not.
Where do you tier them
in terms of
programs? Like jobs/program.
I would if I think it's very hard to be considered a tier 1 program, so I would put Indiana at near the top of the second tier. To say that you should be able to win championships every year at Indiana, that's not realistic.
Indiana or
right
Arizona?
Now.
Pick one.
Ooh, Arizona.
I agree.
Arizona. Now again, tell me the math.
The success.
Tell me the number.
No.
I'm talking about the money.
Well,
how much money? No,
I'll tell you, Indiana has more.
Indiana has
more.
So I might lean Indiana.
Top tier in the Big Ten, I think they're up towards the top tier.
No question. If you're going to rank the Big Ten jobs, what's the best Big Ten job? Would you say Michigan? I don't know that Michigan has that much money.
They do now.
They do now.
But also,
who's got the most money?
He didn't last year. You know what he had last year?
Like 3 or 4, something like that.
2.5.
2.5.
Think of what he did.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he didn't get Nellie Davis. I mean, I feel you probably know.
I don't think he wanted Nellie Davis.
Exactly, but I think that was part of it because I remember he definitely said to me I like him, but I can't spend half my budget on him.
$2.5 million. They had that success.
They've had the admissions issues too.
Right.
I mean that's
I think he got rid of a lot of that. I think
which is good because there's a barrier.
We can't be bothered with that.
It was a barrier.
We got to get away around that.
If you're DeVries, they get Connor Enright. And that's a leadership type thing, guy that you want in your locker room. He's been with him before.
Yeah, he's fine as your backup point guard.
What's your gauge of everything happening with his era now and how he gets going?
The big thing with him is, too, he didn't bring any of his 3 assistants with him. None of them.
From West Virginia to Indiana?
Correct.
Did that
a little
surprise
bit.
you?
I mean, Chester Frazier went to Virginia Tech. Barnett got the head job at Oral Roberts. So there was some stuff going on there. But, I think for Darren, he can coach. We know he can coach. He's not a big personality, just wants to coach ball. So you better have the money,
a problem.
which they have. They have it.
It's a problem in Indiana.
If you win, you're okay. If
That's
you
true
don't
anywhere.
win, you're going to get crucified.
Right.
But I think they have somewhere in the neighborhood of, are you ready for the number? 10 million.
Wow.
So
9-10 million.
I don't think Arizona has that. Arizona still has a lot of dysfunction.
They do not.
I might lean in to answer Mike's question. Then I might lean
got
Indiana.
that money.
10.
Buy around for us.
You got that
Darren,
money.
what's your credit card number? No, I'm just asking.
And all I'm saying is,
Does Talia have it?
you have the
Talia's remaining tuition's paid for from this.
Yeah, I mean, Darren, let's talk here. Come on. I mean,
You're he's still so old and he's working.
I know. It's nice that he could have a reset with the coaching staff at Indiana, though. I think that's the most
I
important.
needed the reset. I needed the reset.
You need a reset.
Trust me, I needed
We need a reset.
I think a big part of it is going to be his staff, which I've learned over the years, right? Now, the staff is probably less important now than ever recruiting-wise because it's more about this. But he brought in Drew Adams, who went to Indiana, knows that school. His dad runs Indiana Elite. It's got a ton of talent. So right there, you've got a hook to get some who came out of Indiana Elite.
That's a great move, yeah.
Flory Badunga. They're probably not going to get Flory. I think Flory's going to go to that school. Mm-hmm. But regardless, they got a lot of players coming out of there. Who else does he hire in these final spots? Because you need people also, that are going to be able to handle some of that other Indiana stuff that he's not going to want to handle, right? Some of the going out in the community, connecting with the fan base. Because that's not really – he'll do it, but I don't think that's what Darren wants to do. That's not his strength. His strength is coaching basketball.
I just think that's part of the Indiana job. I mean, I don't know him that well, to be honest. Obviously, I respect him as a coach. did we know that Pat Kelsey was going to be this good? I mean,
But they were
kind of.
totally different.
Yeah.
Opposite ends of the spectrum personality-wise.
That's what I'm
Kelsey
saying.
was like
Yeah.
ideal for Louisville.
That's
Walking
what I'm
around
saying.
campus.
Scott Dolson
That's
wanted
what
to
I'm
coach.
saying.
Scott Dolson wanted to coach, and I think part of it he wanted to coach was because he was watching Mike Woodson at the end of games.
I got a bold
and saying,
question.
like, I can't do this anymore.
I got a bold question. More bullish on trajectory. We'll start with you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Louisville or Michigan?
Oh, wow. I'd probably go with after what I mean, both of them. If you had to stack up who's done the best in the portal thus far, right now, what is it, April 2nd?
Louisville's killed it.
Louisville and Michigan are
both
both
of them.
in the top 5.
But Ryan Conwell,
Right?
what a
That's what I'm
get.
saying. I'd probably, maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but probably lean Louisville at this point because we saw
Well, do you
the
like
overhaul.
what Michigan? Okay, they've gotten your guy Merez Johnson, and they've gotten Elliot Cadeau, 2 guys that can't really shoot it. Now, again, you got to fill out the rest of the roster.
They're like
I
Arkansas.
assume
They're in the mix for everybody right now.
Everybody else will be a shooter, I would think. If they're not, then I'm questioning what the hell Dusty May is doing. But I would assume
I think clearly he wants Cadeau on the ball because, or else Donaldson would have maybe felt like he
and
could
that makes
coexist
sense.
with him. Yeah.
And Donaldson's gone. He's in
Yes,
the portal.
exactly.
So, yeah, Cadeau for Donaldson is a win because you got to – but you better have with Cadeau 4 shooters around him, and you don't right now
With Merez.
with Merez.
Yeah.
So I don't really love that. I don't love when you have
I would go Louisville.
a 1 and a 5, neither of which they can shoot.
See, I'm just who's going to have more money to pay their players over the next 5 years?
I think Louisville will.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they will.
I'd
Michigan's got
confidently
money
say
too,
Michigan.
but
I would,
Louisville money.
The other reason why
Yeah.
you argue Louisville is because they're in a league with more of an open door than that. So
Sure.
Totally.
ever
Yeah.
deep
Look,
Big Ten.
basketball means more. Louisville could be a tier 1 job. I mean,
Totally. It
basketball
was.
even
It
though
was.
they have football, but it's kind of like a mini Duke that they have football, but basketball is hugely important. That arena, there's no better arena setup
awesome.
in terms of the arena itself and the revenue that it produces.
Don't you want to get back there for a big game? Like
Always.
it's in my head
yeah,
now heading
yeah.
into next
It's the
year.
biggest city without a pro team. Those fans are nuts. They got money. I mean, look what they did for him last year with the portal. I mean, I would be surprised if there are many programs anywhere over the next. And again, we don't know what the cap and
what they
NL
came from,
and everything.
too.
Yeah.
That's going to have more money to pay players. Tell me who's going to pay the players the most, and that's where I want to coach.
All right, let's turn to the Big East coaching changes. What's your take? I hadn't heard your take on Kevin Willard to Villanova.
Well, what part of it do you want my take on? There's a
How he
lot to
handled it.
unpack
How
there.
he handled it.
He handled it like shit.
Why?
But
Why?
well, it was an interesting. It was an interesting combination of being blatantly dishonest and way too honest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, it was great for the media. So
We
this
love
is
it. We
this
love
is
it.
self-defeating. Watch. Ask me if I've talked to my team about the coaching rumors. Ask me.
Yeah. Have you talked to your team?
I don't talk about other jobs. I'm just here to talk about the game.
Right.
But
And
I
my
pre-
agent. Right.
I-
and
I
he
wouldn't
blames
even
it all
say-
on his agent.
I would say,
Yeah.
I appreciate you asking the question, but I don't. I know I'm just coaching my team.
Right. All
That's
you had to do.
literally because at that point it wasn't. I mean, it was scuttled
Yeah.
about, but we
But
didn't
he
know that
but he
Villanova
didn't
was
have-
serious.
He could have just.
Ended it there.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, having said that, there's no way he was going to execute this transaction without pissing off the Maryland fans. There's literally no way.
Well said.
So it's like I kind of say it like when I'm playing golf, like that was a really difficult shot, very poorly executed, right? Like he just did everything wrong. But I do push back and have been pushing back and getting crushed for it on Twitter. My son, who you talked to, was very excited that I got ripped on Pardon My Take
you
today.
did?
So I want to thank Pardon My Take for finally making me look cool to my son by talking
By
shit
ripping you.
about me
Oh,
and
great.
telling
They killed you?
what an idiot. Well, because I wrote on Twitter like. Because you know why I had this reaction? And maybe it's a little personal. I did grow up in Maryland because of the way those same fans treated Mark Turgeon. Okay? Mark Turgeon quit in December because he knew he was going to get fired.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
he
is
had
not.
it.
But Kyle Neptune didn't quit because he wasn't treated like that. And look, fans
That's
are fans. Fans are fans.
Yeah, but stop acting like this is the first time this has ever happened.
That's what I'm
before.
saying. And by
it's
the
like,
way-
would you rather not gone to the Sweet 16?
It's interesting you say that because I didn't hear it, but I read a long write-up of Scott Van Pelt's
Yeah.
podcast, and he basically said that. He said we would have been better off if Queen missed the shot.
And I love Scott, but I just think that's wrong.
I disagree.
Why?
I totally disagree.
Yeah, I disagree with
Because
that.
then you would have avoided the fight. Like we're
The
playing
drama.
the Sweet 16 and they're like, "Oh, it's such a distraction." I'm like, "It's such a
We love
distraction."
Scott, but
It's such a distraction. He got you to the Sweet 16.
Well,
How
think about
distracted
this.
could he have been?
Think about this. DeVries very clearly in his press conference said, hey, Indiana was really respectful during the season. Imagine if West Virginia made the tournament. He's coaching. What if that smoke becomes fire?
Right, it made
and
it
he's
easier for him.
And he's being asked about it. So he actually avoided it by them not making the tournament.
But
Do
he
we
wouldn't-
know if he
wouldn't have
talked?
shit on, but he wouldn't have shit on West Virginia. The
Probably
problem,
it would've been
the
handled differently.
problem
It'd been
that
handled differently.
Willard
Yeah.
had was he shit on Maryland, and then they thought his intentions were still to potentially stay at Maryland.
Right,
And
that's
now
why
they
he ran.
feel like you didn't give a shit. No matter what we offered, no matter what we came back with, because they did. They came back with another $1.5 million, dollars and more NIL and all that. It didn't matter. You were gone anyway. You'd already made your decision.
Clearly, he wasn't straight with people at Maryland, people like Scott. I don't know what you probably know more about. Like, did he tell his team he was coming back, or he just kind of talked to them about it? Like Willard, did he tell the Maryland players he was coming back?
He told them anything.
That's what I'm
I don't think
saying.
he told
So
them anything.
like, all he had to do, and look,
Will Wade was the ultimate in being honest. I'll give him credit. Like
But
really
he was
I think
also
you can do it at that level,
at a
though.
smaller level.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You can do it.
If Willard,
Nobody's going to fault you for going from McNeese to NC State.
So when we're done, I'm going to NC State, but I'm going to finish it out.
Right.
And McNeese is like Zygazunt.
Yep.
But Willard, and then he got like obnoxious about like that. The one point, like when they asked him about the job, and he said, "Here's what I think: Walter Clayton is hard when he's going to his right." I'm like, "Come on, man, don't be
But he
don't be
said
obnoxious
today,
about it."
But he said today, in retrospect, I did some things that came off abrasive and came off wrong. Yeah. I think in his mind, he thought that he was clearing the runway to take off, to show, like, here's what's wrong.
Here's
I'm
why
out.
I'm leaving.
Why, yeah.
Here's why.
But at the end of the
table.
day, when you're bringing up an exchange via, I'm assuming, email or text in December for your team to stay an extra night in New York City, and that was declined,
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
This is a Big Ten school. Yeah. How is something like that getting denied?
Back to our point, I could make a case that Villanova is the best job in college basketball because that
Wait
school.
a minute now. You got it.
Here's my case. Here's my case.
I want to hear it.
This is to me, this is the most fascinating thing. Is it better to have football, or is it better to not have football?
Right now, not have football this year.
Because
For a year,
exactly. But here's the thing: if you don't have football, you have less money coming into your athletic department. Yeah. But
They have it for FCS.
there you go. So you get the first dollar, right? Goes to men's basketball. So Villanova, to me, is in that sweet spot because they got a lot of money, Villanova, now. They got donors, motivated alums.
Marquette, Georgetown.
Right. So
St. John's.
but Villanova's the best job in the Big East.
St. John's, Patino's got
One guy.
Yeah.
Which is all you need,
Whatever he
by the way.
wants. It's
Which
an
is all you
open
need.
checkbook.
So it was a mess. Gave us a lot. But I come back, the Maryland fans,
You like
don't
the
talk
hire.
to me
Go-
about
Go back now to the hire at Villanova, or you just like ho hum. It's fine.
Ho-hum is fine. I think Kevin is a good basketball coach. The fact that Villanova was so committed to him that they were going to wait. They waited. The portal was open a week by the time they named. Like that's.
Would you have taken Richard Pitino over him, Porter Moser, Chris Collins?
I know you're going to think I'm biased.
Yeah, Chris Collins.
Chris Collins.
I think Chris with a good job.
I think
too.
Chris.
Agreed.
I think Chris is in a great situation. He's in a fantastic job. He's done an amazing job. He is at a time in his life where I do think that if an Indiana or Villanova came calling, I think it's something he would consider or should consider. I don't know.
I knew Chris.
Right.
You knew him longer than I did, but when he's coming up as an assistant, and I know we were on the same wavelength here, we thought he was going to be a superstar. And again, Northwestern, it's hard to be.
And by the way,
he's done a great job getting him to 3 tournaments for
that's
a school
superstar.
that never went before.
He's a superstar.
Coach,
When he's on Northwestern, they should build a statue for
Right, but
Northwestern.
Northwestern's down
he's,
here.
He's never going to win a championship at Northwestern. So if he can go to a job with Villanova with their culture
We have real
and
resources.
continuity, academics. But do I know that Chris Collins is a better basketball coach than Kevin Willard? I don't know that I would say that. I think Kevin is good, but he doesn't have that big-time track record. Now he's at it's on him now.
Yeah.
Look, that's how much he
Pressure's
thought this
gonna
was
be
a
on
good
you now.
job.
Right.
So I hope he succeeds because I like him very much personally, and kind college basketball is better. Villanova is successful. In the last few years, it was not.
What do you think of Richard Pitino to Xavier?
I like it. I think, again, and I think somebody asked me this last night, well, are you thinking if you're – I think it was A&M that they were talking about. Well, if you're Richard Pitino, are you hitting yourself that you took the Xavier job and you're not open for some of these other jobs that are popping open in the second wave of the carousel? I said, wait, at this point, you'd probably rather be in the Big East than SEC.
He fits
At
Xavier
this point,
more than
and
Texas A&M.
Yeah, exactly. And so I like the hire. I think you saw, and I think Ben Johnson is a good coach. I do. And I think people forget that Pitino took Minnesota to the tournament on multiple occasions and has done a hell of a job in New Mexico. Think about the talent that he got at New Mexico. I know some of it came in and transferred out to higher levels, but he's recruited at a really high level in that conference, and I think he's going to do the same at Xavier, which is we know is a basketball school.
By the way, that's another fan base I pissed off, Minnesota, because I had the temerity to defend Ben Johnson.
I think
Totally
he's a good
did.
coach.
Yeah, but your tweet was a little over the top.
I get that way sometimes.
It was
maybe
your tweet
elite.
was
I
like-
called them elite.
Yeah, elite was aggressive.
Would
Elite
you
was
have that
aggressive,
back?
yeah.
Would
Yeah.
I might have that back.
Wait a minute. If we're all guilty of going over the top
I got a
on
little over
tweet
the
or
top.
two.
Totally.
We're all going over the top.
Because, and I love fans. I love you. You pay for our.
You help us a lot.
Yeah, we love you.
everything.
You're insane. You're literally out of your mind. Minnesota's a great job. Who's ever won in Minnesota? Clem Haskins?
Clem, that's about it.
Clem Haskins won
Yeah.
in Minnesota by academic fraud. That's
Tubby a little bit.
no,
Well,
they
he was
fired
fired after
Tubby.
that.
Exactly.
And they
won a
fired
game in
Pitino,
it.
and then Pitino goes to New Mexico. I guess he just remembered how to coach.
Yeah.
He forgot how to coach while he was at Minnesota, and now he remembered how to coach when he was at. What are the chances? So
I
that was
also
my only
think
point.
Richard
Minnesota
Pitino's
is a
learned.
hard.
I also
of
think
course.
Richard Pitino
But
at Minnesota.
would you say
he was 30 years old when he got the
Okay,
job?
but where would you put Minnesota as a job?
Oh, bottom tier.
One of the worst.
Yeah, bottom.
One of the worst.
Yes.
In power conference jobs, it's probably one of the 5 worst jobs in the country.
Good
because
good
it's
hire
power
for them,
conference.
Yeah,
So,
I like the hire.
Yeah.
Great hire, money hire, and I want them to do well. Minnesota, nice.
Just not
I
a lot of
love
great
all you
candidates.
guys.
There's not a lot of great candidates.
Nico's
in the pool
perfect
right now.
Nico's perfect.
Nico's
but let's be
great.
realistic about what can be done at Minnesota.
I got 1 minute.
Yeah.
Who, if you were Texas A&M, who would you hire?
Whew, God, who's even left? I don't even know, man.
I mean,
Chris Jans, Steve
who-
Forbes.
yeah, I would hire Jans.
Jans is good.
He'd be perfect there.
Can they?
He'd be perfect.
Are we sure A&M's better job than Mississippi State? I would think so.
Yes. You'd rather live there.
Who's paying players more?
You got more. Yeah, you got more at A&M.
Who's paying
You got
players
more?
more?
At A&M.
Forbes is interesting.
Forbes, the problem with Forbes, he was an assistant with Buzz for Bully Clyde,
Okay.
but he hasn't gone to a tournament at
Right,
Wake.
I know.
So
Wake's
it's hard
such a
to
hard
hire.
job.
It's a
Wake's
hard
an
one for
impossible
Trev
job.
Alberts. It's going to be hard
I
to
get
hire
it.
a guy like that.
I get it. Who else in the mix? You're the search
Like
guy.
an Alan Huss? Would you go with like an Alan Huss out there? Done a great job at High Point, loading up.
I mean, he's like a Midwest. I know he's a Creighton for a long time,
Yeah,
Midwestern guy. I mean, how important is that even nowadays?
So I think if you're him, you wait for McDermott to retire.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the
Steve
question
Watts.
about Fred.
But he's-
Fred
Go ahead,
Hoiberg.
Latula.
I'm just saying the question. I'm not saying that he should be or is the best fit, but the Nebraska AD is Fred Hoiberg. There's no way, right?
I don't think so.
No.
He would have already done it. He
Yeah.
would have already done it.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'll have to marinate
I mean,
on
if
that.
you remember Fred, when Trev took over there, he made Fred have to redo his entire contract to keep his job. He was on the hot seat at that point. So he saved his job. He's done a good job, but I don't think that would.
Just asking the
Hey,
question.
great to see you.
Hey, man.
You were
I
awesome.
finally got on the field of
You did,
68.
you
I
did.
mean, whatever.
In person, it's way better.
Yeah, I
And-
know.
and you know
I
what?
know.
I'm going to say
Thanks
this
for coming
because you're so busy all week, but I say it all the time, and I know this gentleman on the end feels the same way, but I grew up watching both of you.
Absolutely.
So,
This
not
is-
to make you feel
I grew
older.
up watching
this is-
him.
this is-
No, I mean, I grew up
surreal.
admiring both of you and what
Thank
you do,
you.
and so
No,
thanks for serving as
Thank
an
you.
example.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
people
it.
like
You guys
us.
do great.
Love you.
Seth,
Love
Jeff,
what you do for me.
Mike,
Yeah, both.
Always, you know that.
and
Yeah,
John
yeah.
and Dagan Hughes, our producer, our whole crew here. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We got a couple of guests coming up in the next hour here from Smoke Sky Bar.
Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, I don't know, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dab water. That's right, I'm talking about dab water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dab Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dab Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dab Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level. We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile.
Well, for the first time ever, I get to sit beside John Martin in person.
Wow.
At the same table. What do I owe
John
the
and
pleasure?
John,
We have John Fanta and we have also John Fanta.
Yes.
Yes, right.
We're here in the same
this
place.
is proof that we are not the same person.
The hater said they would never be able to see us in the same room.
Yeah, well, when they introduced me as you.
No, me as you.
Okay.
Me as you is what happened at that network that we don't speak of.
You know, our what time is it? 6:10 here.
Can I tell the story of what happened with that, by the way? Can I do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so we when we went to Vegas afterwards, John refused to go on the broadcast with them.
I did.
I said I will not go on.
Cold. It was pretty cold.
I will not go on that network as long as they don't know my
I
name.
didn't quite say that, but
You put on a lot of weight when they introduced you there.
I don't know about all that, but I did tell them. I said, hey, if you guys are going to disrespect both of us, I won't go on voluntarily anymore. So
Which one? Who is that more disrespectful towards? That's my question.
I would say to me.
To me.
I think it was
I'm just
equal. I
kidding.
think it was equal.
No, it's
disrespect.
to you.
You can't say fan because he was the one that had to face the music.
To me, without question.
That is,
No, I'm
without
just kidding.
question, I think that is more disrespectful
I
to the
went
fan.
5-0 in
It
my
is.
picks that day.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you do the day prior?
I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
won't talk about that.
The segment that they asked me to come on as you, I went 5-0 for you.
What'd you do in Vegas?
Not 5-0. Harder to win in the tournament. But
What do you do in Vegas? Oh, okay.
He was the Wizard of Oz.
I forgot about that.
The Wizard of
I
Oz.
forgot about that.
All right, let's talk about this here, and then we're going to welcome on our we got a couple of guests
They're filling in.
waiting. Before we get to those guests, I want to ask you and then Mike, When you get a read on these two games, which of the two games do you think will be tighter? And do you have any sort of bold prediction to either one of these?
Yeah, I think Florida-Auburn will be tighter. I do. Because I think, obviously, Auburn, I believe, has been forgotten about. That's what I truly believe that we've gotten bored with Auburn as a national conglomerate because they have been the best team in the sport for the majority of the year. They were the number one team in the country. They won the SEC. They were the number one overall seed. I think we've gotten bored with them as a conglomerate, and so I think we are.
Why is Auburn a conglomerate?
as a national conglomerate.
But why? Like, what do you mean?
As a monolith. As a machine.
Okay, there you go. That makes a lot more sense. Why does Dayton
It's
have
hard
a
talking
knife?
to idiots.
We got there.
Oh, jeez.
It's easy. It's not easy at all.
Why do you have a?
But I think we've gotten. Why does Dakin have a knife?
Why do you have a knife?
I'm wondering the same question here. Oh, he's opening up the lights because it's
Lights.
gotten darker in here. But you think Florida-Auburn will be tighter?
I do.
I don't know why Auburn's an underdog.
Well,
I think they're going to win this basketball game.
Well, that's what I was getting at, John.
Yeah.
Is that we have kind of gotten bored with Auburn because they've been so consistent, so good the entirety of the year. They let their foot off the gas when they clinched the number one overall
Lost
seed.
to Florida.
They did lose to Florida, so they do have that get back as well playing into this one. So I think this one will be a war. I truly do.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike, about these two games? Which one do you think is going to be real tight?
I think it's going to be Duke-Houston. And
Wow.
the reason for I think Auburn and Florida has more volatility potential to it. I think there's a team that could swing that game. Either team is capable of swinging that game one way or the other in a big way. So that's why I go Duke-Houston, lower possession, I think has a chance to be a bit tighter.
And what's going to be the key? I mean, to me, the natural key for Houston is early in the game, can two of, I'm not going to say all three, it'd be great if all three, but can two of L.J. Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Milo Shuzen get into a rhythm offensively? Because Houston epitomizes the tough shot-making team. And if they can make some of those shots early on, what happens? You get Duke's offense settled into half court. You're able to stay in front of them. You're able to make them take some difficult shots.
Duke hasn't played a close game and a win ever.
What do you
This
first
entire
of all,
year.
First of all,
They haven't had to win a close game all year.
We were
All right,
talking
so
about the formula for Houston.
okay, no, I get all that. Sorry, I was our producer Dagan Hughes has an incredible. Show how big this knife is that you have. Show how big this
What
knife
is going on? Freddy Krueger.
He's trying to open up the bag that we shipped down here and I really please don't cut towards yourself, Dagan. Cut away from you.
He's got a live knife on the air.
That's both Duke. That's both Duke and Houston trying to penetrate the opposing defenses.
Listen, I don't.
It's a little easier for Duke.
I don't think
it is for
Auburn.
Dagan.
I don't think Auburn
It's
is.
more like Houston.
I don't think Houston is going to be able to hang in this one. There's a couple of reasons why. One is you got to guard Cooper Flagg, and they don't really have anyone that can guard Cooper Flagg. But
Roberts will certainly start on him.
he'll try.
Yeah.
He'll try. The bigger issue though is when it comes to what Duke does offensively. We saw them hunt Mark Sears over and over and over and over and over again. And L.J. Cryer has a lot of the same strengths that Mark Sears does, and also a lot of the same issues that Mark Sears does. And my biggest concern is that they're not going to find a way to be able to stop Duke. I think Duke is going to go after L.J. Cryer nonstop, and it's not going to be a good thing.
All right, you got one more point?
No, you got it.
We're going to break. We're going to take a break here on the Field 68. Coming up next, the commissioner of the West Coast Conference, former head coach of the New York Knicks, spent a lot of time at the Big East. He worked for Rick Pitino, among other legends in his career. It is Stu Jackson who will join us, plus some family perspective on this Final Four week. We're going to hear from Conca Nipples, some of his family members with some legendary stories about
Absolute dog.
Oh, the absolute dog that is Conca Nipples. Stay with us. This is Field of 68 from Smoke Sky Bar.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dab water. That's right, I'm talking about dab water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dab Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dab Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dab Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 from the Final Four. We're at Smoke Sky Bar, 1100 East Houston Street in downtown San Antonio. And we are pleased to be joined by our friend, the commissioner of the West Coast Conference. This guy has some stories about me for sure. It is Stu Jackson, who is joining us on set. Stu, my friend, it is great to see you.
John, anytime I get an opportunity to spend some time around you, it's a good day.
We were at each other's weddings.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, yeah. And I hope you had fun at mine. I certainly had a blast at yours.
Yeah, I had a great time on the dance floor at yours. This guy's got moves.
I'm sure he does. Does that
I'm
surprise
going to have you
you?
hold your mic up.
Did you get a chance to eat? That's
Yes.
the key. Okay.
Phenomenal.
All right, good.
Outstanding
Where was the wedding? Where was it?
Blue Hill Stone Barn up in Terrytown,
Nice.
New York.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's a place that, my now wife and I used to frequent from time to time on special occasions. And when we were looking for a venue, we decided, hey, this seems like
it.
Yeah, it's a great place.
I don't think – what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say I was at Fana's wedding, and I was there with Terrence Oglesby. And we went through and had the whole meal that was before we went and sat down, right?
Yes.
And neither of us realized like that wasn't dinner.
No.
So we loaded up like 3 plates of food, like, oh, this is delicious. And then we sit down, and there's like 4 more courses.
Yeah, you and the other 300 guests.
Yeah.
Because, when we went to the reception at John's wedding, right? I mean, reception loosely fit, right? Because, you're standing there, you're talking to your friends and meeting new people. But the amount of food at the reception was
unbelievable, and it was delicious.
Good enough for any.
And the amount of beverage for some, like Coach Willard, was just fantastic.
Yeah, by the time I saw Coach Willard,
Willie got after it, didn't he?
He was at it.
Oh
what I heard.
man,
Yeah, I heard he got
he was at the reception before he even got to.
That is correct. You know what's amazing?
Kevin had an early night that night.
That's right. That's right. You know what's amazing about you is I don't think you know this well. People don't realize because you're so humble. Give us some of the names that you have worked with throughout the course of your career in the coaching world.
It's insane.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty proud of that actually. I got started, I don't know, about my 5th or 6th year at Providence College, and worked for Rick Pitino, who I tell anyone who will listen, I still think is one of the best men's basketball coaches to ever grace the sideline. And I don't care what great you name, he is one of the best. And I'd put him top 1 or 2.
How about the job this year?
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal. Which, by the way, you know, was the first Rick Pitino team I've ever seen that couldn't shoot the ball. And
At all.
It couldn't shoot at all, and to win the way they did. But on that staff, you got to understand, I work with Herb Sendek, Gordon Chiesa, right? Bill Donlin. Our GA was Jeff Van Gundy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did you guys used to just like rip on him all the time and make him do trivial stuff or
Yeah, man, he was
Yeah.
a GA.
Right,
man.
so he was-
that was part of the job description. You got to understand something. Also, Herb Sendek and I went on a coaching tour in upstate New York just because we were a new program. We wanted to get out, meet some coaches, establish some relationships. And we ran into this guy, Jeff Van Gundy, at Jesuit McQuaid in Rochester, New York. And we got back home, I don't know, a couple days later, and Herb and I both said to Rick, hey, I think we found our graduate assistant.
wow.
And Rick had been looking, you know, because he, you know, has names and knows everybody. He says, well, I'll talk to him. So he talked to Jeff. He hired Jeff on the spot. That next Tuesday, Jeff jumped in his car, drove from Rochester down to Providence, and he started working. And then 2 weeks later, unbeknownst to us, he was living out of his car. Because every day when we got there at 6:30 in the morning, Jeff was somehow already there. Turns out he was just going from the parking lot into the office.
That's a short commute.
Yeah.
No showers for Jeff, huh?
Well, no, it's great. We were at the gym. We were at the practice
So
facility.
he'd shower in there
Yeah,
before you guys got in.
yeah. And we had brand new offices with like Persian rugs and these big couches. Evidently, he fluffed up the couch every day because we never knew he was sleeping there until one day Rick found out and then cursed him out. And then he had to go get an apartment.
Was Pitino's routine, because now this is a man who's waking up at 5 a.m., going to Equinox, doing an hour and a half, walking the dog 2 miles, copping on a phone call or two, running a quick errand for Joanne, going into the office, 2 hours of individuals, then practice. Then at 5 o'clock, it's, all right, I'm going to go get a bite to eat. Who's coming with? Like, is that back then? What do you remember? Because he never ate.
No, it was the same way. I mean, he had certain expectations of his staff. One is that we ate a meal together. 2, that you did work out, and 3, that he was always going to test your manhood. You know, by way of example, we would have these staff meetings at Providence College in the sauna.
In the sauna.
In the sauna. So why the sauna? Because Rick is like an animal, and we'd sit there as a group, you know, the 5 of us, and he would wait to see who dropped out first. And how far into the meeting we actually got. And then if you were the first one to drop out, you know, you caught his wrath. You know, he tested your manhood. And, you know, that's the way it was, you know, practically every day. But I will tell you this. The most magic moment in the sauna that we had was after the 3-point shooting rule was passed. When he showed us on a magnetic board with a magic marker, he did the math and made the case to his staff we were going to shoot more threes than anyone else. And he was the first to do it.
It was,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy that they can't shoot.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody is ever going to write the book, they should credit him as the pioneer for the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
All right, so Monday, the House settlement rule is voted on. I think the expectation most people think is it's going to pass. I've actually heard some blowback lately that it might not at this point. What have you heard, and what does this mean, especially for the WCC? What does this mean?
Well, listen, there are 2 main, consequences that we have to deal with, as do other conferences and institutions. And one is with respect to revenue sharing. And, the second is, paying the back damages that, all of the conferences are obligated to. And I would just say, whether it passes or not, all conferences, institutions have been preparing the past month to absorb both, right? Particularly by way of damages, like what's this going to look like? What's going to be the distribution among schools? What's the conference's obligation? So that part I think we got figured out. Now, the revenue sharing piece of it, that's a horse of a different color, because it's going to vary from institution to institution, and dare I say conference to conference. The Power Four, have upwards to $20 million that they can rev share. and so do we. But we're not going to get to 20 million. So then it becomes a question of what level of revenue sharing will our institutions engage in, and how do they utilize that money as efficiently as possible.
So one more thing before, I want to get your take on this, because they're going to try to cap schools, obviously, after this year. This year's, everybody's trying to pay guys right now before July 1st.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's trying to pay, I said it earlier, Indiana, I think, is going to pay $10 million this year.
Yeah.
$10 million.
Yeah.
Because they can front load it.
Yeah.
After this year, though, you're going to try to cap schools. Well, isn't that just going to encourage cheating, ultimately? Because the third-party deals are going to be in place also. But isn't it just going to encourage cheating to try to cap schools? Isn't that what we're going to do, ultimately? Here?
Well, yeah. Well, put it another way, Jeff. Regardless of what the mid-majors schools and conferences spend, or the low majors, to the idea that somehow the Power 4 conferences are going to be capped, I think is a ruse, right?
Yes.
Because, no matter what the number is, as you alluded to, they'll find alternate ways of generating revenue vis-a-vis NIL or whatever. So you're capped at the rev share level, but by the way, we've got this sort of car dealership that's willing to do something for you as well. So cheating, I don't know if you can call it cheating anymore.
Getting around it.
If you're going to have a rule that says you can blow through the cap or have a cap exception, that may be the more prudent thing to do.
This isn't a cap.
But that's what the NBA does. That's what the NBA. The NBA has a salary cap. You can blow through it if you're willing to pay some sort of penalty or tax.
So is that what?
But
what would you do here? Would you do that based on your NBA background here and the way it works? How would you change the setup of what it's going to be?
Well, if you are concerned about player acquisition and how that happens, and if you are concerned about actually having a system of rules, I'm making the suggestion that build the rules around that situation that allows you flexibility at that level. Listen, and for the WCC, we're never going to get to that level. But in the sport of basketball, it's a little bit different than football, right? Because if you, even as a mid-major, competing against Power 4 conferences, if you do a good job of evaluation, you get a little bit lucky, you develop players, maybe in a given year you get those one or two players that now vault you into the competitive space of teams that are spending $20 million. That can happen. Now, it's not going to happen all the time, but it can happen, so I'm not as concerned. Now, football, that's a horse of a different color, which I don't have a lot of credibility to speak on.
Yeah, the difficult part with it, in the comparison with the NBA that you made, is that in the NBA you can cap a salary cap, right? You can cap what the teams pay. You can't cap what Nike wants to pay Kevin Durant, though. And what will happen in college is that the way that these guys are going to be able to tap into the actual NIL and not the pay-for-play NIL, the real NIL, the real sponsorship deals they can get, those will come from local businesses. Those will come from local boosters that happen to own stuff in the area. And if they are willing to pay to get them to come instead of pay to get you to be a national brand and spokesperson, I don't know how you can justifiably put a cap on that without it having being some kind of like
get sued.
Yeah.
The NCAA is just going to get sued for if they deny a third-party deal for, some Hall's Steakhouse.
Yeah.
They got 5 of them in South Carolina. If they deny a kid from College of Charleston, they're going to get sued, aren't they?
Yeah, undoubtedly. But that's the environment we're in right now, Jeff, are we not? It's just totally a litigious environment. Yep. And I don't necessarily personally see an end to, this environment. It's like if you blew it all up, you wouldn't start the way we're going right now. So I don't really have an answer to how to stop that.
I do have another question for you, and it doesn't have anything to do with pay-for-play or anything like that. In an era where the movement in college athletics, especially college basketball, is it's gotten almost close to a professional rank where you were putting together a number of new players every year. You spent time in the NBA. What would your advice be to these coaches when it comes to roster building and culture building and team building, in the sense that how do you get these guys to be able to buy into something more than just, okay, I need to get this many points to get my next contract?
No, it's a very good question. I personally believe you have to start when you're turning over a team that often and you're going into the transfer portal and trying to mix it up with maybe one or two high school players in an attempt to build a roster. Mm-hmm. My suggestion, it has been to many of my schools, is that acquire players that come from winning environments.
Yep.
That come from cultures and have played, where they've played in meaningful games and maybe performed at a level. And listen, it doesn't need to be another P4. It could be a Division II player, but get players that fit that profile.
Look at Florida's backcourt.
Boom.
Iona, Belmont, and FAU.
Yeah.
You always said, where you come from, who coached you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who'd you play for?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you come from that kind of coaching.
Yeah. Because, we've all witnessed the example of teams that have a large number of transfers that start out slowly, but if you have the right people in the program, eventually they'll start to get it. And then come around January, February, really good things happen.
Before we let you go, let's talk about the West Coast Conference.
Okay.
Again, this league is so much fun to watch. Your tournament, it had incredible basketball in it. The coaching is high level. I mean, I loved watching San Francisco play this season. Randy Bennett, I think he was on all of our top 10 to 15 Coach of the Year lists. This guy is unbelievable. What's the future of your league hole with Gonzaga on the move? How does the WCC keep on accelerating?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. And, we started the process of trying to accelerate even before Gonzaga left with adding the affiliates of Oregon State and Washington State, knowing that if we had any attempt at keeping Gonzaga, we needed to strengthen our basketball profile, which we did. Now, ultimately, they received an offer that was beyond the scope of what we could give them, and you know what? More power to them. They were very transparent, very honest about the process with the Big 12 and then ultimately with the Pac-12. So, but now, in a year, we're going to lose all three, and we're going to be back down to 9 members. And it's important for us that our future looks like adding either one of two things. Adding a school or schools that provides basketball strength for us. Because the last thing we want to do is go out and add someone just to add them, John. That makes no sense in a basketball-centric conference.
Don't expand just to expand.
Yeah, don't do that. The second thing is that our schools have to continue to invest so that they begin to improve. And then I said there were really 3 things. I think, with the whole realignment landscape, guys, the only way in basketball we're going to stop this nonsense is if conferences start to align with one another. And what does that look like? I'm not talking about full all-out mergers. Maybe it's a full-fledged scheduling alliance where it's not just 10 games, but you find a way to play 20 games between conferences, because then each of those respective conferences gets access to the other without having to go poach and add them as full-time members.
Mm-hmm. All I know is one thing: if there's an alliance or something fresh or fun, you know who to contact. We're here for you at the field. We'll do a game anytime, anywhere.
Yeah,
we love
go.
it. Well, you know what? Go ahead.
I will say this. You mentioned Randy Bennett before. Going to a St. Mary's game or practice is about as good as it gets. That gym, Randy, just the way he teaches and coaches, there aren't much better. You've seen a lot of great ones.
Yeah, I have, and he's a great one. And I think that a prime example of that, Jeff, is if you just listen closely to his players, they'll reveal the essence of what Randy Bennett is. Look, Randy's been around a long time, and I've never said this to him. I mean, yes, he's an excellent coach, X's and O's. I mean, it goes without saying, but he does, I think, a great job of working on some of the things that we talked about in acquiring players from the transfer portal. He works on their mind, their competitiveness, and their resilience. And that is why his teams play the way that they do, aside from the fact that technically, offensively and defensively, they're very sound.
Yep.
He is too, Jackson. He is a guy who is synonymous with basketball and history and story time that we had here. He is the commissioner of the WCC. And Stu, You're a friend to all. It's great to see you, my friend. Enjoy the week on the Riverwalk.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say before I go, I know we're tight on time. You guys do just such a great job, just as a group, but for the sport of college basketball, and I thank you. So,
we appreciate
anytime.
it.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's
Thanks for
Stu
coming by.
Jackson. Up next, we're going to get a little family perspective. Inside Con Knipple. I know you like watching that kid play basketball. That kid knows how to play.
He's not bad.
He's not bad at all. We're going to hear from his uncle, who just so happened to be a second-round NBA draft pick in the 90s. Jeff Norgard is going to join us with some stories on a little crazy con in a good way. Next.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you, so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, I don't know, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB. The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level. We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile.
Welcome back, Field of 68. We're live from San Antonio at the Smoke Sky Bar. We can see the Alamo Dome where they're going to be playing games. They're going to determine a champion here on Monday. But until then, we have the Final Four. And Duke is in the Final Four. They have been historically, you pick the metric, whether it's KenPom, whether it's net rating, they have blown the doors off of history with how good this Duke team has been. And one of the reasons why has been freshman Con Knipple. And we are pleased to be joined by his uncle, Jeff Norgard, second-round pick, Milwaukee Bucks. Tell us about Con, and you know, when I watch him, I see a DOG. K-O-N-D-O-G.
He's a stud. He has always been somebody that has played above his age level in regard to understanding the game and just an IQ. And it's been really, really exciting and fun to see him shine recently, especially in the ACC conference tournament, and then now in the Sweet 16, where he really stepped up and led the Blue Devils to the Final Four. The roster is ridiculous. Certainly, there's so many good players, but Con has maybe flown under the radar a little bit. But now I think people are finally seeing what a stud he really is.
You know, it's funny. When I first heard about him, I was sitting next to Tony Bennett at the Peach Jam a couple of years ago, and he didn't play. Con wasn't there. He was playing at another event. They were playing a smaller event, and I said, I'm like, who's your guy in this class? And he said, this kid, Con Knippel. Like, I didn't know the connection that Tony had to the family, right? To your sister. Go ahead.
Well, Tony doesn't really have a connection. Well, he has a connection to my sister.
His teammate.
Yes. So first off, I was a teammate of Tony. I was a redshirt when he was a senior, so I didn't play with him, but I practiced with him, and we're friends. And my sister dated his best friend in college as well. Eventually, but it was really fun when Tony started to recruit Con for Tony and I to reconnect for a couple of years during that time. I was coaching an AAU team. Not that Con played for; he played for me earlier, but he was out of shoes. He
outgrew your team?
Pardon me?
He outgrew your team?
Yeah, he did. We had we were one of the better Upper Midwest non-shoe circuit teams, but yeah, he outgrew. He made the right decision to go where he went because playing in the EYBL and being arguably the best player in the EYBL was the right move. Led him in scoring, efficiency, and then it pretty much got him this Duke offer by doing that. So if he played with me, he wouldn't have gotten there, but he would have found his way eventually.
Tony loved him, though.
But yeah, Tony loved him. I love Tony, and he's close to our family, and we have a great relationship.
But it wasn't always just the Hollywood script of basketball, right? Because you come from amazing genes. Your dad and your mom have both had accomplished careers. Mom's jersey's retired at Green Bay as the all-time leading scorer. But he's around 6 or 7 years old, and what were you guys seeing?
Yeah, so first off, John, it's a wild history that we have. Both of my grandpas played Division I college basketball and football. One of them at NC State. So we have a little wolf pack in our blood in our family.
Hey, the best hire of the offseason, according to Jeff Goodman.
That's what I said.
And then my dad was a multi-sport athlete in college as well. And then I played. Sherry is the best player ever at GB, and there's so much involved there. But when Con was young, when Con was 4 or 5, he was not into sports. He was not good. He didn't even know how to throw. He you were
worried.
Right,
yeah,
we were worried a little bit, because we're really big. I mean, we love them no matter whatever they're into, but we're a sports family, and it's not just basketball, but football and
he was into dinosaurs.
He could tell you, when I grew up, there were 4 dinosaurs. It was Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Brontosaurus, and whatever.
A few more now.
Now there's like 50, and he memorized them all.
I think dinosaurs were birds. Actually, now.
Right, and he memorized them all. He had a great mind. He memorized things, but it wasn't about basketball until the family got a Wii, and then
Nintendo
Wii, and they started playing, and David Robinson. He played with David Robinson and Tim Duncan in whatever game that was, and he fell in love.
NBA Jam.
Yeah, it must have been NBA Jam because 2-on-2 must be NBA Jam, right? And he got into it that way, and then started to just be into it mentally, and then he's like, I want to be like these guys, and he started to build his practicing and so that he could be a player, and he really turned into it, obviously. But it was wild that at 4, 5, 6, amazing, he was not an athlete, and then boom.
I think he might be the first top 10 pick that ever discovered basketball through the Nintendo Wii.
You might be right.
I think that's like the first time that's ever happened.
So Sherry, my sister Sherry, has always said, well, we didn't want our kids to get into electronics. We wanted them to do, get outside and play and do sports. But ironically, it was the electronics that got him into sports. And there's stories of guys that got in late, like Man Malowich. He didn't start playing when he was young. But but it was the Wii that got Con into it, and fortunately for all of us, it helped him get to where he is now.
Let's talk about this Duke team, Jeff, because we were talking earlier off air about the instinct is to say, man, this Duke offense is just lethal, right? But the defense is, I feel like, underappreciated.
Well, I think it is, because I was listening last night to this show, and
let's get it all out there.
And one of the guys on here,
Well, he's hiding now.
No, he's hiding.
He's hiding.
He said this is going to be a
He doesn't
this is
want
going to be a
that.
contest.
No, it was Doster.
Doster said this is going to be a contest of offense or defense. Which one wins? And I'm like, which one are you talking about for defense? I know Houston's great on defense, but this Duke team is elite on defense.
They are.
They're so
Held
connected.
Alabama
They're
scoreless for 5 minutes.
Right. They're so connected. Alabama makes 25 threes. They score, 115 points, and then the next night they score 63, like 48 points less the next night. Duke is as good as anybody on defense. The length that they have at all positions, and then having Man and Cooper protect the rim. So that's how complete that team is.
Much better, though, defensively than I thought he'd be and that he was early in the season.
Jeff, so everybody thought, okay, the first critique of him was going to be, can he play defense at the high major level, at the ACC level, at the Duke level? And I watch him closely, very closely, every possession. He is not a okay defender. He's not a good defender.
Yep.
He's a great defensive player. He may not be elite, but he's great.
Yep.
He is positionally elite, and he
always,
exactly. His IQ is off the charts, and he stays in front of people with his feet, and his body is so strong. He walls up, and he is an excellent defender. And their team is as well.
Where do you think he can project in the NBA?
Between me
both
or
of
Jeff?
you. Between both of you, yeah.
As far as
What do you think?
So I think that, in my opinion, his floor is as high as anyone because he has no flaws. Okay, you can argue that his ceiling isn't extremely high because he's not long, he's not overly athletic, so he may not be like Man. Huge ceiling, but what's his floor? We don't know. I think Khan is going to affect the team positively from the get-go because he has no flaws. I don't know where he's going to be drafted. It could be 6 to 10 to 12.
No flaws.
Yeah, I think he has no flaws. He's not necessarily elite at anything, and I think he will be an elite shooter when it all comes down.
He's elite at this.
Definitely.
He's elite at thinking the game.
Definitely, but he has no flaws, in my opinion. Jeff, you might have another.
No,
thought,
I think you're right, and again, it surprises me because early on I was like, can he guard?
Right.
Can he guard? And he's proven to me he can guard.
He can guard.
He can shoot the hell out of it. Yep. We know that. He puts it on the floor way better than I think anybody expected.
Yep.
Not an elite athlete,
right?
Vertically,
for sure.
But he uses angles so well
Yep.
to be able to score and create space. And no, he's super impressive. What? Give me kind of your if you had to describe Khan, because I'll say this plainly, like at Duke, it's different this year because I think with Cooper, he has tried to be one of the guys. So they've kind of done that with everybody now. They have availability after games, but they don't do a lot of one-on-ones. That's just kind of how this team has been for the most part. So I don't know Khan well. Describe him as a kid, as a person.
Sure. Well, first off, he's unselfish to a fault, I think, basketball-wise, as far as that goes, and that's a great, let's say, Robin to the Batman of Cooper Flagg, because he could be the alpha on about 350 teams in the country.
He would be.
As a person, he doesn't get into all the
BS, the
and
drama,
the hype, and all and the drama, but he loves the minutia. Like He is a basketball aficionado. He is a historian. He fell in love with hoops.
A historian.
Oh, he's an NBA historian. We have when we get together at Otter Tail Lake in Minnesota, our family lake cottage, we will do the number game, and we'll go around the pontoon starting with 0, and we'll have to name an NBA player that wears a number. He will come up with guys from.
He destroys you guys in that game.
Well.
You're pretty good. Well, you're older. You're older.
He
you
and
go back.
He and I compete. He and I compete. No, but it's fun. He is a basketball aficionado, historian.
Is he as mature off the court, or
he is.
You have a different relationship.
He's honestly weirdly mature. Like when we would get together at Christmas or holidays and whatnot, or at the lake cottage, he would gravitate towards the adults. He would hang out with the adults because he wanted to have adult conversations instead of hanging out with the kids that were where they were doing stuff. Now the kids have grown up, and so everyone's hanging out together, so he's not necessarily always hanging out with the adults, but he was older than his age from the beginning, both on the court and off the court.
Who of the 4 younger brothers do you think could be Another stud.
Oh man, it's really hard to say. Cager, the next one, if he gets
Cager's in 10th grade, for those who don't know.
Sophomore. If he gets to 6'10", 6'11", like my oldest son, he could be a superstar because he shoots it so well.
It goes 19, 17, 16, 15, 14.
So they got a sophomore, freshman, 8th grade, 7th grade. I don't know what the younger ones are going to turn out to because it's too early to tell. They're all great. They're all ranked in the top 5 of their class.
So go through the names again.
Well, it's Kahn, Cager, Kinston, Cash, and
Kidman.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
The names are
a little
so
assist from Fanta there.
Yeah, thank you.
What are your two? You said you have 2.
Yeah, I have 2 boys.
And what are their
one's
names?
name is Dawson. My hometown is Dawson, Minnesota. So I named him Dawson. And he plays basketball at Michigan Tech, which is D2 in the Upper Michigan. And then my son Langdon plays football for University of Wisconsin.
So you have you have no common names in the family. Like common names are not. Maybe they are common in.
So
what do you mean common?
They're not common. Well, his kids are more common.
Well, I don't have any Jeffs. Nobody names their kids Jeff anymore.
100%. Or John.
We got 2 of them here.
Or John.
No, we got 2 Jeffs and 2 Johns. Wait, before we let you go, what's your – I know this is hard putting you on the spot. I asked you a little bit. Is there like a wild story about Kahn, something that just shows the –
some out of the box.
Something a little bit out there.
So, I sent you some stuff, and I think it's coming out in a something that you're doing tomorrow or whatever, but I won't keep it in that. But one thing that's kind of funny is our kids, the nephews together, are my parents' grandkids. Every time we'd get together, specifically at Christmas, sometimes at our lake place in Otter Tail Lake, they would make movies. My son Dawson was kind of the producer and the director and the writer of that, and Kahn was involved with those. And there's some great video of him doing some lines and
Can we get some
acting.
of this?
Well,
Can we get some of
it's
this,
out
maybe?
there. It's out there.
All right.
I'm not gonna throw him under the bus and send it out there. I want him to get drafted. Well, I'm not gonna.
He's gonna get drafted.
He's
gonna get drafted.
This is not going to help his draft stock.
No,
right?
I mean,
It's not that bad,
It's
is
not going
it?
to help or hurt, but I don't want to embarrass him.
Oh, we're all for embarrassing here.
But
Yeah.
But one other story is so last year Kahn played for a team called the Unintentional, which my buddy Sam Grawl, it's his team, and he does a podcast as well, and he's been on some Duke podcasts, and played in a tournament called Holy Cross that is in Kaukauna, and it's mostly old guys, and I've played in it for dozens of years or whatnot, and his dad is the best player of all time in that thing, honestly. But Kahn was a senior in high school, and he was the MVP in that thing, and it was crazy because we all said as adults, no high school kid is better than us, even,
At your age.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. And Kahn was the best by far, and it was wild. Yeah.
Jeff, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate
Thanks
you guys
for
having
joining
me.
us.
Great stuff.
It was fun. Thanks.
His nephew, Kahn Knipple, and the Duke Blue Devils taking on Houston for the right to go to the national championship game here in San Antonio. This is the Field of 68. We're live from San Antonio. The Final Four back after this.
Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB. The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level.
We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dad water. That's right, I'm talking about dad water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dad Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dad Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
Field of 68 live from San Antonio. We're here at Smoke Sky. I like to consult the sign. It helps me.
Smoke Sky Bar.
I'll never get it right.
That's what happens when he's got 2 tall boy Dos Equis in front
That's
of him.
right. Just keeps. Hey, everybody, let's leave that out of it, okay? I'll consult my problems when it's time.
Isn't even Vegas.
We have a lot of things to get to. And we have a special guest, Kyle Guy, national champion at Virginia, was on staff here with Virginia last season. Jeff Goodman, Rob Doster. First of all, Final Four. Take me back to when you were back in that thing. How did it feel? Just the atmosphere and the excitement of being in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a childhood dream, as most people would say. Kind of cliche, but that's just the truth. Like, I remember growing up, like, skipping school on Thursdays and Fridays that first weekend, like, just trying to get to the Final Four. And obviously my first 2 years in college didn't go the way we wanted. And getting there was something special, man. I asked for so many tickets. Like Minneapolis, I mean, that's actually pretty far from Indianapolis, but it's closer.
You get all the tickets you asked for?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They can't tell you no.
No, they can't. No, they took care of me, so it was good. You know, playing in front of 80,000, whatever. I think it was like 81 or something like that. Like, I'll never forget those moments.
So I remember being at your game against Gardner Webb that year. It was a game to circle. Like, you had to be at that game if you were me, because obviously what had happened the year before, you lose to UMBC. You know, the first 1 seed to go down. Luckily, you're not the only now. So it's a little bit better for you. And I remember after first half, you guys were struggling. Like, I think you only went into halftime up a few.
Well, if I'm jogging my memory, but I think we were down.
Were you down at half?
Like 6 or 7 or maybe even 10, a lot. And what's funny is I've never rewatched the UMBC game, but I remember feeling at halftime that we were down, but we were actually tied. So it's just funny that, like, we were actually down and we felt way better at halftime.
Really?
Like, all right. Oh yeah, we laughed at halftime. Like, it was like breaking
Come
the
on.
ice. I swear. It's like breaking the ice. Like,
but how nervous? You guys told me. I remember walking down the hallway with you
was
after
Gardner
the game.
Webb, Jeff.
And
I mean, let's not get ridiculous.
No, but I think you exhaled after that
so
game.
Nervous.
Of, like,
for
thank
sure.
God.
I think it started at halftime. Like, of course, we were still like, all right, shit, we're still down 10. But like, it was just a moment where the team really came together and we were like, all right, quit bullshitting. Like, let's get this done. And then obviously when we won that game, it definitely the monkey was off our back. Coach Bennett walked in with a stuffed monkey and threw it. I swear.
What?
He threw it. He
At
said, monkey's off our back.
Really?
At half?
No, after
I didn't
after
know
we
that.
won. He said, monkey's off our back.
Did you laugh?
Oh, yeah. He was having – yeah. I think he felt the same we did. Like,
that's
okay,
that's when you knew
that's
though.
out of the way. Like, we can –
Because what he did with you guys going into the season, I remember ACC Media Day, and all you guys hit it straight on. It wasn't like we're going to avoid this with the media, any of this. And I assume he talked to you a lot about that in the offseason.
It started as soon as we lost because he helped or he like took care of the seniors, Devin Hall and Isaiah Wilkins. He had me and Ty go on the podium, which I thought was just awesome. Not for me to be there, but just the fact that he like took care of them in that moment because they weren't going to have a chance to redeem themselves like we did. And so he took us in, him and actually Coach Sanchez. They went into we were in a holding cell waiting for, not a cell, a holding room, waiting for.
Felt like a cell, probably.
Yeah, I probably did at that moment. And he was just talking to us like this is going to mean something for us. Like, you guys are the future. Like, any question you want deflected, whatever. Like, just trying to be the man that he is. And he was killer on that podium. And then the whole offseason, you're right, we hit the nail on the head and didn't shy away from it and tried to create it as a chapter in the book as opposed to the cover.
It was amazing to hear you guys.
Well, I mean, you talk about the book, right? Like, if you had wrote that story as a book or as a movie, no one would believe that shit was possible, right? Like, okay, you lose to a 16 seed, then you're down in the first half to the 16 seed the next year. Then in the Sweet 16, you're down. I think you were down 12 to Oregon, right? Down 6 with like 4 minutes left. So it might have been you knocked down a couple threes to get you back into it, right?
Yeah.
Then in the Elite Eight, you have the Kihei Clark play. Then in the Final Four, we got Auburn fans here, earmuffs. You get fouled and you knock down the 3 free throws. Then in the title game, you're down by, what is it, like 3 with 8 seconds left, and DeAndre Hunter hits that 3 from the corner. Like, if you would have told me that this is what the movie is, I'd have been like, you got to make that shit more believable.
It was
man. Come
unbelievable. So our president at the university, when we got our banner hung up, he gave Coach Bennett a picture that had the probabilities of us winning the last 3 games. They were all below like 5% at one point in the.
Crazy.
It was unbelievable, and everyone had a game. I was awful the first 3 games. Kihei was the Oregon game. That was his, like, he had like 15. He had a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
They weren't guarding him. They were disrespecting him, and he hit all his threes. Purdue, he obviously made the play. Mamadi made the play, but that was like me and Ty, like, points-wise. Obviously, Carson was unbelievable. The Final Four, whatever, the free throws, but that was team effort, and then DeAndre was I still think he should have been MOP. I was shocked.
Did I give it back?
So you
I
won
could
it?
give it back, but I was like, dude.
How mad is he about that?
I don't think he's mad, man.
DeAndre's so chill,
yeah,
too.
He's a chill.
He probably sees his NBA paychecks as like,
he's
yeah,
like
you can
Kawhi,
have that.
like,
Right.
I'm just a chill guy.
Right. He and Ty were like the high-strung, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were the vocal guys.
Ty-
All
I mean,
right,
you know
let's
Ty from, so.
talk about this current Final Four.
Yeah.
The 4-1 seeds. Obviously the metrics before the tournament started suggested that these should be the last 4 teams standing. Who do you think is coming out of this as the national champion?
Yeah, I think so we've played 2 of them this year, which was good. I think Duke is the most consistent of the 4, but I think Florida has like the most, like, if they're on, I think they would win.
Their bigs are crazy.
They just have everything. Guards scoring 3 guards that scored 14 plus. That's unheard of. And then you got Walter Clayton who can go for 30 at any moment. Then you're right, mobile bigs.
I mean, it's crazy.
Like they got
4 of them.
They can overwhelm. Yeah,
they got 4 bigs.
I know. And the fact that Micah came back this season, like, oh man,
insane.
I know. It's like the rich get richer.
Nobody has 4 bigs.
Right.
No.
They have 4 guards. They have 4 bigs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy part of Florida. Whatever they want, like they can get into foul trouble.
You got to win. You got to win it all.
I did. I switched it.
Oh, you bailed. You bailed.
Oh, you switched it. What are you, a hoe?
I just don't know.
You
I
switched
don't know.
it. When did you switch it?
This is the only one that I could take away and be like, all right.
Wow.
But the other
Are
3,
you serious?
The other 3, I think you could just honestly.
You just dismissed Kelvin Sampson's Houston Cougars like that?
I did.
Disrespectful?
I did.
Like toilet paper on your ass?
I know. So you worked. I don't know. I'm going to use this term loosely. You worked for Virginia this year.
He wants to change the subject.
I'm not sure what you did. But
Yeah.
Actually, let's go back to Duke. Let's go back before I ask you what you did. Because it's going to take you a while to process what you actually did.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Giving you some time.
The answer's quick. It's nothing.
Give me your take on Duke and Cooper Flagg, because you've seen a lot of really good players come through college basketball. Where do you put Cooper Flagg, and what impresses you the most about him?
I think what impresses me the most is just that he's never going to have an off night because he can cut. He can rebound. He can push the ball in transition. He can hit open 3. If the 3 is not going, he can drive. He can get fouled. And he just plays the right way, and I love that about him. I obviously played against Zion, so I'm biased that he was
Do you
the
think
best.
Zion's better than Cooper? You
I
do?
mean, I played against him.
I mean,
didn't
I
play
know he's a
against Coop.
physical specimen, but like Cooper to me is a better basketball player.
Yeah, I mean maybe all around, but that isn't like that's kind of the Shaq's the most dominant, LeBron's the better player. You know what I mean, like that kind of thing. But Zion
LeBron's
was
a better player
yeah,
than
but,
Shaq.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean,
even though
but,
Zion's more physically
but
dominant.
Zion, man,
Cooper's
Zion
a better
was
player.
Zion was. I'm contradicting a little bit because I just said you really can't stop Coop, but Zion was actually unstoppable.
Yeah.
I feel like, even though I just said he can't have an off night because he can affect the games in so many ways.
You
but
could
like,
hold him down from scoring
Yeah.
more than you could
Yeah,
Zion.
yes.
Zion, there was nothing you could do.
Nothing you could do. He wanted to go left, he was going to go left. and he's honestly one of the best finishers I've ever seen. Zion,
No doubt.
Zion was. So, but I respect Coop's game, and honestly, their team they all play the right way, which is why they're so damn good.
Crazy.
The thing that's so impressive to me about this Duke team is one, it's the size that they got around the perimeter, right? Like they go 6'5", 230 is their point guard. Like that's NBA size.
Yeah.
They switch everything 1 through 4. Then they bring in Malik Brown. And they switch everything 1 through 5. They can play deep drop with Malawak. They can have him come out and hedge if they need him to. I've seen him switch on the guards before. What do you do against them when they're switching like that? Because they're just going to say, I don't care if it's a mismatch. You're not scoring on us. You're not going to be able to do it.
So me, Isaiah Wilkins, Chase Coleman, we're the youngins of the Virginia staff this past year. We're talking about this on the flight down here. Like, how do you beat Duke especially? We found on offense, if you rip baseline, they struggle with 45 cuts and kind of swarm into the ball, and you can kind of, so if you rip baseline or reject ball screens, they kind of struggle with that. Obviously, Malawak can kind of cover for some stuff, but we had a down year, but we were getting 45 cuts, and they were kind of struggling with their communication in that aspect.
Explain what a 45 cut is.
Sorry, yeah. You're on so there's the corner, there's the 45, which is the wing, and if you drive baseline, the opposite wing would cut to the basket, and then the guy in the corner would stay. So that it's 2-on-1 basically. So that the 45s were there, and then defensively, it was funny because the answer was pray. But other than that, you have to win the rebounding battle. Like they rebound at an extremely high rate. They get like 12, 14 points, second chance points, like kick out threes to Isaiah Evans, Proctor. Knipple, like if you can just, and these are the 4 teams that can rebound.
They can all rebound, right? I mean, these guys can rebound.
That's the one thing. Like you take that away.
The other thing I love about them is Shire is very good at kind of picking on the matchups. You've heard me say this like 6 times. Yeah. They went at Mark Sears like 17 times in a row
100%.
in the second half against Alabama. And
Yeah,
LJ
no one
Crowder
can
6'1".
The good thing is that's why they actually, even though you just took them off, they actually have a chance because they can all guard and they cover for each other.
Cryer's
so
small though. Cryer's a
Correct.
small guard.
Correct.
That's the only problem.
But there's a metric on synergy that values who's the most valuable player on a team, and Tugler, he's the most valuable.
Defensively, he's so good.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried that we're dismissing Houston. I am.
I just tried to back him up for you.
I appreciate
put the
that.
hat
This
back.
side of the table.
I put the hat back.
No, but
it's back on there.
No, I think Houston's good.
No,
man.
in
I
all
think Houston could
Of
beat
course
them.
they're good.
God saw what you did.
Nobody's saying they're not really
He was
good.
watching.
I hear what you're saying.
But
We're gonna,
Of the
hey, we're
four-
gonna send that to Kellen Sampson. You taking the hat and throwing
I
it.
hope
We're gonna
they-
show
I
it to
hope they win,
everybody in
so.
the Houston
As
locker
someone
room.
who has Duke to win the title for a lot of money, please don't send that to Kelly.
you don't need any
Please,
motivation.
no, I mean, obviously, like I respect the living shit out of Houston because they were in the league with Memphis for so long. I just kind of feel like the toughness and the discipline is being a little undervalued.
But that was a
bit.
mid-major league.
Oh, here we go.
I mean, what they did.
Here we go.
It's not what they did in their league, as you know, you shithead.
All right, Kyle.
No, go ahead and wrap it up. Since you're so
I
good
am
at
going to
wrap
wrap it up.
No, you want to bottom line it since you want to cut.
No, I'm
cut in?
going a different direction.
I can't
I'm going to go
wait.
back to
I'll
Kyle
sit
this
back and
past
listen.
year, whatever he was doing. But he was working for Ryan Sanchez, who was an assistant on that team. They made a coaching change, brought in Ryan Odom. What do you know about Ryan Odom?
Yeah, I've met with him once, and we've talked on the phone a couple of times. I mean, I know when he beat us as UMBC, he sent me a handwritten letter, just saying that he was like we handled it admirably, like he was a huge fan. So like I always had a lot of respect for him. We scrimmaged him this year as he was at VCU. So I talked to him a little bit there. And he's been nothing but great since he got the job. Super nice dude, genuine. You can tell, gives a lot of freedom to his players and coaches. So I think it was a good hire.
He fits Virginia. He does.
I mean,
he
it's
fits
full circle
Virginia
for him too,
Yeah,
which
it's
always is,
crazy.
that's what the fans want. So
Yeah.
it was a good.
I love Tony's the statement that he made.
I didn't read it.
It was along the lines of, yeah, you broke our hearts once, but now you're in the family, so we love you now, something like that.
I mean, but yeah, Tony's.
Hey,
just-
so have you talked to Tony a bunch this year? I've texted with him.
Yeah.
I tried to get him on the show.
Yeah, that's
it
not
didn't
happening.
work.
That's
It didn't
not
work. Maybe next year.
If you guys do a show where you're golfing, maybe he would do it.
He's playing a lot of golf.
Yeah.
Hanging out
or
with
tennis.
wife a
Or
lot.
tennis. He's
big time
he gets
tennis
after
player.
it. He gets after it.
You
He's
tell the world that NIL is not new, that everybody was getting NIL even before it was around.
Maybe they were, but I know who wasn't paying was Tony
Kyle got
Bennett.
nothing. I believe, I could be wrong on this. Did we do the first ever national TV interview, you and I, you back in AU ball?
Probably.
In,
Who were you with back then?
in Vegas.
Indiana
No,
Elite.
was it in Vegas?
It was Vegas, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was Vegas.
Pretty sure.
Who were
Indiana
you
Elite.
with back then?
I was with ESPN.
Okay.
It was,
Yeah.
I did this, whatever the
Or
tournament
Adidas
was.
Nations?
Yeah.
No,
it wasn't Adidas
okay.
Nations.
It was
the
probably
other
the
Did you
yeah,
have the
you
man
played
bun
well.
on?
Well, Kyle went from a guy that really wasn't. I don't think you were highly recruited going into that summer.
Correct.
Right?
That was
And
my
then you
first
ended up-
year, and I played up.
Yeah,
That was
you
my
ended up
fir- yeah.
being top 50 guy coming
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah,
Then
that
you
was.
Then
those
you
were
got
the
to
good old days.
Virginia, you had the crazy ass hair.
Yeah.
Top knot.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't regret anything.
What happened with that? Why did you decide to do that?
I'll tell
that
you.
was a
I'll
little
tell you.
uncharacteristic.
It was. I'll tell you. So, my trainer, his name's Derek Grant. Me and him decided we needed to show something physically that showed how much work we were putting in for the spring leading into McDonald's. I was trying to make McDonald's All-American game. And be Mr. Basketball Mania. Those are my goals for the whole year. We had to show something. So he grew his beard out because he's bald. So I grew my hair out. And we go to – I get to UVA. It's still long. I'm thinking about cutting it, but we have our Spain foreign tour. And I'm like, oh, well, we're going to Spain. They like the long hair, so I'll go with the long hair. I come back. I do a couple scrimmages. I get 3 games in, and people are making fun of it. So then I'm like, oh, I have to keep it now. So that's why I kept it, is because
people were making fun of it.
People were making fun of it, so then I had to keep it. I can't buy in oh, they're making fun of it. Let me cut it off. Like,
No,
I'm gonna keep
gotta
it.
fight it then.
And then I'm cutting
Exactly.
it after. Yeah, so that's why I kept it.
Awesome. Well, Kyle got
Hold on. I
national
got one more.
champ-
one more. So you mentioned before how
If
much
you want
fun
me to
it
go,
was.
just you can say that.
No,
I'm being-
he wants to go. He wants to go. He's trying to end the show.
we have sponsors
Yeah.
to get to, right?
No,
Dagan?
but so you mentioned how much fun it was to play in front of 81,000 people when you were playing at the Final Four. You went to the free throw line with, I believe it was 1.9 seconds left.
I think it was less.
Less, yeah.
0.8 maybe.
0.8 seconds
0.6.
left.
That's a big difference. By the way.
Down by 2.
Huge difference.
3 free throws. Trip to the national title game on the line.
Yeah.
Just what is going through your head in that moment?
Yeah, it's so funny. I have this answer locked and loaded. I already know what I'm saying. I perfected the answer.
What's
So
the real answer then?
no, I'll tell you what. As soon as the game was over and we won, I went to the do the interview, and I told her, whoever's interviewing, I forget her name. I was like, I was terrified at the line. I said that. Yeah, you know me. I'm honest. I'm gonna tell it how it is. But it was a good terrified. So what I did was I tried to put the pressure on myself. All right, there's 80,000 people here, 10 million watching. Last year's was in my mind. It was always what if I miss? No. What if I make it? Why not
positive.
me? Type of thing.
The
And I was,
positive, yeah.
so I just took it all in. And I was like,
But you were scared. I mean, underneath it
not,
all.
yeah, but a good nervous.
Yeah.
I'm you know
Yeah.
what I mean? If I wasn't nervous and not really alive.
You're
So I was like, yeah, hell
100%.
yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fight through it and
There, you
face
might
your
as well
fear
make
head
'em.
on.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did a good job on the outside keeping calm. So
I think you had a little smile on TV after you hit the second one, too.
yeah. I mean, they're free throws. I'm good at those. So I try to remind myself of that too. It's just
Once you hit the first one, did it kind of take the pressure off a little bit?
None of them felt harder than any of the other ones. The second one went a little left on me. So when it was midair, I was like, "Oh, come back!" But then it did. So
It's amazing that you remember the details.
Oh
of
yeah,
every,
yeah.
you
That's
know.
that I'll
Everything
never. I remember.
goes.
So I shot 2. He called timeout to ice me to make me double think or overthink it.
Yeah.
Coach Bennett's talking to the team about what are we gonna do if he misses, if he makes, are we fouling, are we da da da. I went straight, got a water, looked for my dad, saw him. He gave me a little so I'm like, all right, cool.
Awesome. I'm in.
Jason Williford's like, leave him alone, leave him alone.
Don't talk to him.
No, don't talk to him.
Like
they're
a
trying to get me in the
pitcher
huddle.
throwing a
I'm like,
no-hitter.
I want nothing to do with that huddle. I'm going to make this free throw, and then I'll figure it out after that. So if you watch when I make it, I'm like looking around like, what do I do? But, yeah.
You had no idea at
No
that
clue.
point.
No clue.
We'll see if there's another moment like that in this Final Four in San Antonio. That's Kyle Guy, national champion, Virginia. We'll come back. Lots more to come here. Field of 68. Back after this.
College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light. I want my home to feel like my home. So whether I'm looking for big furniture, just a small piece for my place, or maybe some storage solutions for the basement or the garage, the answer is Wayfair. Seriously, I needed a new patio set and fire pit for my backyard. I bought it on Wayfair. It looks great on our deck, and it gives me an excuse to fire up the smoker, invite some friends over, crack a couple beers. Just last week, I bought a new chair for my office, someplace comfortable to sit while the madness takes up the 4 screens in front of me. I got it on Wayfair, clicked a few buttons. A couple days later, it showed up at my front door. They even offered to help set it up for you. Digging through online stores can be intimidating. Trust me, I know. It can be hard to find what you're looking for in your price range, but not on Wayfair. They have great options, even if you are balling on a budget like me. Wayfair has every style for every home, including mine and yours. So head to wayfair.com and shop everything home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB.
It's now time for live studio audience questions. So there's a reason why Jeff Goodman is not a part of this segment. We welcome audience members to submit their questions to our outstanding panel. We're going to start with Quinn. Come on up, Quinn. War Eagle. He was here an hour before we even got started. Hello, Quinn.
That's Kyle Guy's best friend right there.
Quinn actually founded the Field of 68.
Who's done the better rebuild job, Bruce Pearl or Kelvin Sampson?
Very good question, Rob.
I think it's that's a tough one. I'm gonna go Kelvin. I'm gonna go Kelvin because they started out in a lower league. Auburn started out in the SEC, right? And to take Houston from the bottom of the AAC, John, you saw it, man.
Don't bring me into this.
You were at games. I'm assuming you were at games. Have you been to a game at the Fertitta Center?
It was Hoff-Hines, actually.
Hoff-Hines.
Yeah, that was real bottom, rock bottom.
So it was empty. It's like this cement pit. It's there was nobody that would show up to the games, and Kelvin Sampson took that job.
It was hell on earth.
Yeah, hell on earth. And within 2 years, he has them competing in the AAC. And within 3 years, he has them winning the conference. And since then, they've done nothing but just completely dominate that league, make Memphis their bitch, go into the Big 12, make the Big 12 their bitch, and now they're back in the second Final Four in the span of 5 years. Second Final Four in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
That's
2021,
what he did was incredible. I love Bruce. I love the job that he's done, but I think it's Kelvin.
Yeah, I thought Rob did a mostly good job. Penny certainly had his fair share of success against Kelvin, but he's right. I mean, I think people would be shocked to see the state of the program when Kelvin got it. I mean, he had to go to the administration and say, hey, this is not enough. Well, what we're doing here, and back then it was like the first year of the AAC, this is not enough. We can't survive with this facility. We can't survive. And I'm sure Bruce probably had similar conversations, but, you're in the SEC. And Houston had gotten so far removed from Phi Slama Jama that they needed a real visionary. And honestly, both were visionaries. So it's hard to they're very similar in what they did. But I would just give, I think, the slightest of edges to Kelvin because he had to do it in a league that didn't have the commitment of the SEC. So I again, notwithstanding the Memphis slander, I would say Kelvin.
I think the fact that I'm also Kelvin, I'm running the table here. You two made great points. But, yeah, I mean, when he inherited that team or when he took over that team.
Mike, make the argument for Bruce.
Make the
argument for
Why
Bruce.
you got to make him do it? Why?
I'll do it.
Well, then why don't you do it if you have such an argument?
We're going around the horn here.
Well, I mean,
I'll make the argument for
Yeah,
Bruce.
you seem stressed about making it be 3 for 3.
I'm just saying, like,
Who said we were going 4 for 4?
14-win team that Houston was when Kelvin took over, and I was fortunate enough to call games last summer at the Fertitta Center. That place is beautiful.
It is a beautiful building.
It is a beautiful facility, really, state of the art. And so that's one of the true signs, I think, of an overhaul and of a rebuild is when you see that particular like aesthetic upgrade. I think we've seen that at Houston, and and he's maintained his style of play throughout, and I think that's the thing for me with Auburn has obviously been successful with a multitude of players that have come through, but Houston has sustained it longer and hasn't really fluctuated much, I think, since Kelvin took over. That's why it would be Kelvin for me.
So for me, it's Bruce because, and I'll make the argument for Bruce because I think it's that close.
You're going there.
Because you are at a school that is always, always, always going to be football first in the minds of those fans. Always. And the fact that he could come – I mean, it wasn't a basketball school. Basketball was the furthest thing from any of those people's minds.
No, it wasn't.
If you still ask people today –
100%.
If you still asked Auburn fans today, would they rather be in the college football playoff or the Final Four, 100 of them to 0 would say the college football playoff.
That is true.
That's just our world.
Is that true?
99 of 100.
That's close.
99 of 100.
That's close.
When Bruce takes over the job, the first couple of years were not bright. There were some real struggles. The third year of the job, he went like 6-14.
He did have a show cause.
He did have a right. He has to deal with that too.
That's part of the rebuild.
That's all part of the rebuild. You had to go through some real crap to get to this point.
Yeah, that's true.
Houston in the American, let's face it, the American, not a great league.
Terrible league.
Auburn's ascended while everybody else in their league has ascended.
That's actually a good point.
But Houston
That's
left.
that's
But Houston
actually a good
left
point.
the American, and then they are on top of the Big 12.
Yeah, but that's actually a good point. They were already what they were. Like, they built the program in the American.
You came
Bruce
into
did
this
it.
year.
What does that have to do with anything?
The American sucks.
On our
but they showed you that it's not just about the conference because they literally translated immediately to the Big 12, which these assholes held up as the best league for 10 years.
Bruce hitting his apex while the SEC hit its apex, I think is
That's it. When you're,
that's
I mean,
kinda
coming
similar.
into this year, we had Auburn as like 5th or 6th in our SEC preseason power rankings, and that was because of Alabama. That was because of Tennessee still being there. That was because of Florida.
First of all, this is a very tough question. This is a very Bruce Pearl versus Kelvin Thompson. Whose rebuild was? It's very very difficult.
Shout out to Quinn for that question.
How about our second question?
How
How about Steven?
Tough.
Steven's got a good question too.
Okay, here we go.
Well, go American Conference as an American guy myself.
There we go.
Birds had you on the ropes at the
solidarity.
Convocation Center.
Who's your
I went to UTSA.
Oh, UTSA.
We had you on the ropes at home. I'll just throw that
I
out
had
there.
you on the ropes at
I
home.
wouldn't go that
Hey,
far.
Big American Conference guy.
I wouldn't go that far.
We got a little NIL scandal as well. We're not going to talk about that, John. Yeah, I'll tell you about that later. But no, we don't want. We
you
don't
guys
need that.
don't pay your players.
Oh, hey, well, that's for another time. Not here. I wasn't there, but I got
It's in the Riverwalk.
Oh yeah, I got a question for you guys. Houston Duke, the number is 135.5. I think that's
Down.
low.
It went down.
I think that's low. I think a lot of people are touching it. I kind of like the over. Is there a play that you like, or is that just too low of a number at this point?
I like that we're talking.
I took the under.
Our friends at BetMGM.
I took the under. I just think
still. Go ahead.
136.5.
Oh, what a sharp
the
number.
under. I basically just think that that Houston's going to be able to control the tempo and make it physical.
And I think
enough.
Duke's willing to.
Yes.
Duke's willing to play in the half court if they have to.
If you watch
because
what they do in the second half when they have a lead,
yeah.
Mike, you've seen them do this.
Yeah.
They will.
Well, we obviously do
someone makes a shot, the ball bounces. They walk and go get while the clock's running. They'll walk and they'll go pick it up.
Kill it, yeah.
They'll throw the ball to the ref. They'll go walk out of bounds and wait for the ref to bounce it back, and then they'll bounce it in if you're not pressing them, and they'll let it bounce and roll up the floor and try to take 10, 15, 20
It'll
seconds
be a
off the clock.
50-second possession.
Yes.
50-second.
They will try to
offensive
do that.
possession.
They will try to do that, and they have no problem playing
Without
long
the
possessions.
offensive rebounds.
Yes. So I think that I like the under. You like the under?
Yeah, so I would just say that Duke's defense just gets totally forgotten about. Duke is
Not by us.
not by us, but
Not over here.
by people. I don't know by who, but people. You know,
Okay.
because I think by Rob, because Rob said it was about Houston. How about Duke? How about Duke forcing a low possession, low scoring game because they held Alabama to their second lowest total of the season?
Didn't I just say that?
65. Who was the other? Who held them? Somebody held them to 64. It was a random team. I can't
Ole
remember.
Miss.
Ole Miss. Yeah, that was random.
Random.
Yeah, it was totally random. I mean, it just was. So
home.
I would say Duke could dictate the pace, as opposed to Houston dictating the pace. You know, you thought it would be a
I
Houston
think
thing.
Houston's going to go more out of their way to dictate.
They
the
will.
pace, I think.
They will. But I think with Malawaj, with Man, I don't think Houston has.
You don't get to call him man.
Oh, I'm calling
You're
him
not
man.
friends
Dude,
with
I
him.
talked to Conkinnipple's uncle.
Jeff called him man.
I mean,
Jeff called him man.
I'm part of the brotherhood now.
Conkinnipple's
I'm
uncle
part of the
Mike.
brotherhood now. We pay our players. All right.
Oh, God.
No.
Let's go to our third question. Greg.
Thank you, Fanta.
We pay our players.
All right. There are 364
Under.
programs in Division I college basketball. Last week, St. Francis of Pennsylvania decided to downgrade their program to Division III, following the University of Hartford. Both teams in their last year made the NCAA tournament. How many more lower-level Division I programs do you believe will downgrade and leave the sport because of the financial demands?
I think that there will be some. I think that there are schools that have gone above their means to try to get to the Division I level, chasing that glory. And I also think that there are a number of programs that view themselves as academic institutions first, second, and third, as opposed to being a place where athletic success matters at this level. And as they are seeing it kind of trend towards, okay, it's professional ranks, you're getting paid, you got all this other stuff going on. I think that there are going to be some programs that decide we want to be an academic institution where athletics is something that is supposed to be fun and an enjoyable activity that you do while you are a student. And I think that's part of what, along with all the other stuff, I think that's part of what played into St. Francis' decision to move down.
To me, there's got to be some hard concessions made. So what has to happen with that is if you're the NEC or the America East or the MEAC or the SWAC or the WAC, if you're any of those types of leagues, you have to sit down with your school presidents and you have to say, listen, this is our threshold. This is what you have to do. I'm not talking about paying players because those schools, they're never going to have millions of dollars to pay people. I'm talking operating budget. Some of these places, let's be honest here, they're faking it. They're faking how they're in their respective conferences. I want them to stay at Division I, but for some of them, it's just not in the best interest of them to do so. So I love the question. I think you're going to see 10 to 15 over the next 2 to 3 years have to classify down to a D3. And the reason why that is because D3, when you get down to D3, they have exactly.
Why the D3 slander?
There's no slander. I think it's just
shots at the D3.
You're viable at D3.
You're viable in D3. You're not in D2.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Are you making fun of the Tufts Jumbos again?
No, I'm
Put some respect on the Tufts Jumbos.
Because D3 has scholarship.
No, you guys just want
to. No, D3 doesn't have scholarship. D2
Does.
Yeah.
So you're going to go down. Why would you go to D2? You're not going to level down to D2.
Exactly.
That doesn't solve the problem.
Look, here's the deal. Now is the time where people stop being nice and start getting real. Remember the real world, right? Where everybody would move into the house, right? People stop being nice and start being real. Now, lots of teams are going to start being real. We can't survive. We really couldn't before, but we could at least pretend and try to play the game. But now in the world of NIL and revenue share, teams are wising up and they're saying, listen, we can't play in this game. We're not this team. It's sad that a team that was in the tournament in St. Francis and could have won a tournament game.
It's a game. It's a unit.
It is a unit that they're saying, hey, but they know the deal. They know that, hey, we're not going to be able to do this long term. We're not going to be able to expect to be here. So they're making the wise, prudent decision for the long term and saying, let's go back to where we belong. I know people don't like that, but it's just the reality.
I do think one big positive has been all the pushback, one against the expansion of the tournament. I'm not saying that doesn't mean it's totally tabled, because it's not. But if there weren't the amount of negative feedback, guys, I think it's done by now.
Negative feedback in terms of what?
Of expanding the
so
tournament.
keep pushing. Do not expand the
do
tournament.
Do not expand it.
Keep it at 68.
At all costs, make sure that you don't expand it.
We only have so many different numbers trademarked.
Do you know how much these things cost? Do you know how much these things cost?
How many do you have trademarked?
You sound awfully cheap.
Do you know how much these things cost?
He does.
Do you know how much these cost?
Nobody in this
These are like $60 each.
Well, have Terrence Oglesby cover the next batch.
$60 each.
Yeah, he has so much money.
He is so T.O. Isn't T.O. coming here?
No, T.O.'s in Indianapolis right now. He's calling the Charlotte Hornets game.
T.O. said some stupid analysis on the show.
Oh, hey, let him know. Get at him, Quinn. Get at him.
Jeff,
Speak your piece.
Jeff, come on.
Quinn, get at him.
Wait a minute,
Go ahead.
hold
Go.
on.
Let him know, Quinn.
Let him know, Quinn.
Dang it, which camera's he looking at? The far camera. Quinn. Middle camera,
He said
Quinn.
Jeff
Middle
Goodman's a
camera.
bitch.
T.O. said some stupid analysis last night on the show.
Who did?
T.O.
Well, that's
Taryn.
par for the course.
I got scared. I was on that show, too.
Terrence, you said that for some reason that Todd Golden will manipulate the matchup, acting like he's not going up against his mentor and the person he learned a lot from, and Bruce Pearl. They both know each other, and acting like just because Janai Broom may not be 100%,
Let him cook.
That Todd Golden will just have the game on strings.
Let him cook.
Well, Bruce can counteract that, and Bruce has been in this game a lot longer.
Woo-hoo!
Probably knows more in his pinky finger than Todd
my.
Golden has experienced.
Wow.
So yeah,
Goodman's got a text, so he got to
as I
phone a
said
friend
in
for an
the
answer here.
comments, Keep sleeping
What's the question?
on Auburn, Terrence. Just like you said, Terrence, that Auburn
Terrence!
finished 9th in the SEC, and we cleared the field against the rest of those bums in the SEC coming for Florida and that classless fan base.
Smoke Skybar, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, my
Get him, Quinn. Get him, Quinn. Drop the mic.
man.
Take us home, Fanta.
Hey, Goodman had to phone a friend.
Wow.
Oh,
T.O.
my God.
Where is T.O.?
Where is he?
Coming tomorrow.
What,
He's
T.O.?
coming tomorrow. He coming back
He's
tomorrow?
supposed to
You
be.
know what happened?
Oh,
He went to Clemson, which is Auburn Junior.
Oh!
Blake, they stole everything from us, and the architects that made Auburn made Clemson. They're just a copycat, lesser version, fraud version of Auburn.
Hard to argue.
You heard
Hard
it
to
right there
argue.
from Quinn. T.O.'s a fraud. We appreciate you tuning in. Day one of the Field of 68, live from the Final Four at the Smoke Show.
What?
good night, everybody.